when people tell you I'm too old or I'm not stable enough to get on a horse, you find a way to get me on that horse. I said, if I die on that horse, so be it. I'm telling you right now today, don't listen to anybody. I want to get on that horse. I got that fire. You know what I mean?
This confidence kept coming and coming and coming. People would come to our CrossFit box and they thought I was cool. Like, you know what I mean? They thought, well, we want arms like Jenny. Like I wanted arms like Jackie, you know, like, well, how do we get those? And I'm like, well, this is what you got to do. You know, you got to eat this and drink this and work out like this, you know?
It's hard to retire when you're a horse trainer. Let's just call it the way it is. It's really hard. And I've been scared all my life of not having enough. And I want to build something for my family, and I don't want to be scared when I'm 60, 70 years old. And it's getting closer and closer.
Guys, welcome back this week. I'm excited to bring y'all Michael and Jenny Cooper. Michael has won over $6 million and definitely needs no introduction in the cutting world. He recently just won the NCHA Super Stakes on Red and Milds, and his wife Jenny has picked up showing cutting horses and has always been the backbone, I would say, to that business and raising their family. And They've done such amazing work together. This year, she stepped on and in the saddle, and she's hauling for a world championship in the non-pro. I'm excited to bring their story to y'all. Y'all are going to love this story.
It was Summersville, Missouri, 600 population is where it started at. I mean, I never had a registered horse until I was 18, 19. So my grandfather is the reason that I had horses. He is no World War II vet, but we let a foxtrotter breed a Mustang or a foxtrotter breed a quarter horse. I mean, they were just horses. I mean, we grew up extremely poor. My dad couldn't work. I've never seen my dad have a job because he quit school when he was in 6th grade. And so, there was no money. I remember that, well, there's several stories I remember there about the money and mom and dad, and I'll go back to that later in the story about what Jenny and I did for my mom and dad. But so my mom was a nurse, and then when I was in 6th grade, she had an aorta
valve,
an aneurysm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, first of all, we had a wreck in the car, and our house burnt to the ground. My dad come and grabbed me out of the bed, and I wore a t-shirt and underwear, right? And so he grabbed me out of the bed at 6. I was 12, 13 years old. He run and put me down in the front door, and he said, "Run to the mailbox." I freaked. I mean, I didn't know what to do. 12-year-old kid run the mailbox and your house is going up in flames. We barely made it out. I think he got like some guns and laid them on the car and backed the car out of the carport because it was a trailer house, you know. And we did that. And then I had to say goodbye to my mom. Well, I had to go live with my grandparents, and then I had to go say goodbye to my mom because she had an aorta or an aneurysm. Yeah. In her heart, and my grandfather prepped me for it. He said, "Hey, we're gonna have to go say goodbye to mom because she's gonna have surgery." And it was a Dr. DeBecky in Houston, Texas. It was a what do you call it? A surgery like they don't know about.
Like a test.
Like experimental.
Yeah,
experimental
kind of
surgery. And there was only a 10% chance that she was going to make it. Well, if you don't know my mama, she's all God. And my grandfather was too. My grandfather preached till he was 91 years old. And so we went to church every day. And so my mom, when I went in there, I didn't really know what was going on.
Didn't understand.
I didn't understand. I knew that something was wrong, but I really didn't know the gist of it.
Right.
And she was down in that hospital. I think I'd have to ask her for 30 or 60 days.
This is in Texas?
In Houston, Texas. They flew her down there. And at that time, they had to, now they can go in and fix you. Experimental surgery is what it was, because they had to video it. I remember they had to video it. So they cut her all the way open and opened her up. They don't do that now because all the new surgery. This was in 1986 that they did this. And so Dr. DeBecke was, I think he was 68 or 72 years old when he performed this surgery. And so it was by the grace of God that she made it back, you know what I mean? Because she wasn't supposed to make it back. And she's still living in a house that we built for her right
On
there
the ranch.
beside Jenny.
She's 72 now.
And has the greatest attitude.
Doesn't hardly miss a cutting.
Knows everybody in,
Sure
because
does.
she can't walk now because of her knees and stuff. She can't. She's in a wheelchair, but she's the one. My grandfather and my mother is the one that taught me the most, because I say that I was raised by some of the most uneducated, smart people I've ever been around in my life, looking back, because you know, they wasn't fancy about knowing finances. They wasn't fancy about knowing all that. But my mom, when I was a kid, she used to put a cassette player, because that's what we had. And I had to listen to Zig Ziglar, you know. And so I had to do that. And I had to pray for a wife. I'm like, why am I praying for a wife at 14, 15 years old? This is crazy. She goes, I want you to pray for your wife. Well, look what God give me. You give me the gold mine. And so
your foundation at an early age from your mother and grandfather was
God. Sunday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. You never do wrong. You never do wrong by a person. You do right. Everything you do right, because God's watching everything. I mean, it was grounded in us, wasn't it?
Right. And then Grandpa, Juanita's daddy, was our, like, the pastor. And, you know, like, it was like, when you say
he was the guy,
he would take his grandkids up, and he had a rock altar, and, you know, we would, you know, lay things down, and, you know, he would pray with us. And, you know, his Bible, like, we have it after he passed away, they gifted Michael his Bible, and it's like worn. I mean,
it has the
amazing.
deal. It had more time open than it had closed.
Yeah. I mean,
like, I still have it today.
Every page is highlighted or written on, or
he pretty much raised me. If it wasn't for him pushing the horses and the work ethic, I can hear a still small voice in my head, hubba hubba, because, like, if I was on the tractor in the hayfield and it might be a mile away, he'd say, get off there and run over there and get it. Hubba, hubba, get over there. And I mean, he meant it.
Hustle.
Like, I jogged all the way there, and we never sat. Like, if we were running, we were doing something. And so he pretty much raised me, you know, because my dad was great. He was unbelievable, soft-hearted, kind man. I loved him to death. But between him and one of my brothers, they showed me and took me hunting for the first time, because my dad couldn't. He had so much heart problems.
That's what I was going to ask. So he was put out of work from disabilities.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He went to work for his family when he was in 6th grade, had several strokes, had 7 heart attacks. Like, it wasn't that he didn't want to work.
He couldn't.
He couldn't.
Right.
His health was so far done that it was, you know, he couldn't. And so from there, when I was 14 years old, talking about my dad started a lawn mowing business when I was 14. It's the only way. I mean, I had to I mowed lawns, and I busted 100 rank of wood. They set a light up for me. And so I went at 14 years old. He took me into the cop, and
Town cop.
He probably had it pre-staged, and I'll go.
So what does that explain that to me?
So he took me into the cop, and he said, Lloyd Mitchell was his name. I'll never forget it. He said, Lloyd, I can't take this boy to mow all the lawns anymore. He's going to have to drive on his own.
Well, he didn't have
You
his
were
drive.
underage.
He was underage.
I was underage, yeah.
So
And so he said, you're going to have to let him take the back roads and mow all these lawns. We need the money. We can't do it, you know. And when I say hard times, like,
you're providing for the family.
we ate squirrel rabbit, turkey, deer, anything you can do.
You lived off the land.
We lived off the land. And when we shot to kill. And that's all we did. We used our dogs to hunt, and that's what we used them for. I mean, it's a true story. I
So
mean,
you'll laugh. So we joke about it now, but if you came into the Cooper family, like the daughter-in-laws, you had to know how to shoot a rifle, and you had to know how to deer hunt. And they sent. I mean, when we got deer tags, like not only did these guys go hunt, but all the daughter-in-laws went and hunt, and we all filled tags.
if we needed to, the daughter-in-laws walked the patches
We had to
out.
go toward the end of the season.
We filled the freezers.
Yep. They'd send all us out, and we'd have to walk patches out to finish filling
You
tags.
can't make this up. It's a true story.
I love that.
That's why I said we're the red. I love rednecks. I love that part of it. Like
So I learned how to shoot squirrel and deer real fast.
and she learned how to cook them. Because later when we got married, I'll tell stories about that. But yeah, like that was true story. So I went to Lloyd Mitchell, and he said, Lloyd, you're going to have to let him take the back roads because I can't do it anymore. I'm too sick. And he goes, he will not. And he looked over at me, get in trouble. If he gets in trouble, Lloyd, you call me. I'll handle it. That's all you got to do is call me. And I was like, yes, sir. I was scared. I'm surely he had to call Lloyd before we went up there. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I started mowing lawns, hated school, wouldn't have went to school if it hadn't been for a couple friends of mine and basketball. Basketball is the only reason that I went to school. I would not do my work, cheated my way through school, hated it, And so I'd rather work. And that's what I had to do. We had to work. So fast forward to about Jenny and I.
Yeah, when did y'all meet?
Right there.
So I'm originally from Florida. And so I, for a lack of a better description, was an oops baby. And so my parents were both older. Everybody thought they were my grandparents growing up. And so when I was born, my dad, they were both like, originally they were from Indiana. So they were both like farmers,
Woodsy people.
Right. So, and all my siblings, half siblings, are much, much older than I am. And
your mom had you at
43
years old.
Yeah. And,
and her dad was,
I don't recall, but
he was older than.
But I mean, literally, like we'd go grocery shopping and they're like, oh, you have your granddaughter with you. And my mother would be livid. No, this is my daughter. And so anyway, so daddy and mom wanted to raise me on a farm, and we lived like in a gated community in Florida. I went to a really big school, I didn't know what a horse was, didn't know what a cowboy was.
You were in the city.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And
what age did you move?
I was a beach babe. Like I loved the beach, loved the ocean, loved all that. So we always took family vacations. And so for 7 years, my dad hooked up with a realtor every year. And that was my vacation from school, was we would go and farm hunt or meet realtors all over the United States and look for land. And we'd walk pastures, we'd walk fence lines. Like this is what I did with my parents for 7 years.
He used to farm. Long time ago before he was a city guy.
So looking back, he did this for me. Like I know he did this for me. They both did. So for 7 years we did that. And then they stumbled upon this 360 acre farm in Summersville, Missouri. And Dad was like, this is the one. And it was back on this gravel dirt road, little bitty house. I didn't even have a closet in my bedroom, like a little bitty house.
It was a culture shock.
It was, yeah. And I never knew what snow was. And we moved from Florida, Sunshine State, in the dead of winter to Summersville, Missouri. And thankfully, the people that my parents bought the property from, they heated it with a wood stove. They had a fire going for us, and it was like a snowstorm. And we pull in there with a U-Haul truck and trailer, and I'm like, what is going on?
What are we doing?
I was
here?
like
What age would you
excited.
have been?
I was 13.
13 years old.
And that was just, it was awesome, but then that's a hard age
That's a
for a
very
girl.
tough age.
That's a tough. I mean, I'm in
can see
7th
that.
grade. Middle of the year, 7th grade.
Leave all your friends.
Small town USA, which Summersville's great. I mean, it will always be home, but then that's a tough age when all the girls are like grown up together.
They already got their group.
They've already got their cliques, and then here I come in and I wasn't an athlete. I didn't play sports. I mean, I just came in.
Oh, you cheerleaded. Come on, that's a
But I mean,
story,
I didn't come from like an athletic background where I jumped right into the volleyball team or the softball team or anything like that. So, but yeah, we started dating like our sophomore year.
Yeah,
So I gotta ask. So how did y'all? Do y'all remember the day y'all met?
Oh, let me tell
Is it
you.
the snowstorm?
Oh,
and he
listen,
cut
maybe we
wood?
should
No.
not. Maybe we should not bring that up.
So,
See, I love this.
This is a
what
great
I
one.
Oh shoot!
So,
Oh,
my dad was leasing some land to another gentleman for some cattle. And at the time, Michael was helping this guy.
working for that
He
guy.
was working for him. He was checking cows. Well, so back up a time. So we were living on the farm. So Daddy, he wants to buy me a horse. So this is the funniest story.
but I asked you out before I went over there, right? No.
So,
Maybe
I'm
she
telling the
remembers
story.
better than I do.
So so my dad had went to the sale barn, okay? And I mean, we all know like sale barn, like we're not talking like 817 sale. Like we're talking like
This ain't the Western Blood
like we're talking about like
This
the
is
sale barn and
like this is the
Right.
local
Summersville.
sale.
So he brings me home this horse, and it is a rat tail Appaloosa gelding, like
Man.
what 7, 8 years old. I mean, ugly as sin. But I thought it was like
Ask her what
Stevie
that.
Ray Vaughan or something. You know what I mean? I thought
Absolutely. It was
I
your
had
horse.
made the jackpot. And of all the things to name it, and I haven't even met him yet, I named it Cooper.
It was fate.
Of all the things to name it.
God knew what he's doing because Mom had
He'd
me
been
pray.
hearing them
Mom had me
prayers.
praying,
Yeah.
so he's.
Yeah. So anyway,
Delivered her on an Appaloosa
Yeah.
horse.
so and that thing, like either I would ride it one day or it'd buck me off one day. Like it just depended on the mood the horse was in. And my mom would get furious with my father, like you're going to get her killed.
He was bad.
He's like. And Daddy was the generation where you took it behind the barn and you taught it a lesson. Like,
Right.
like you take that
You get bucked
gelding.
off, you're getting back
You
on.
bet.
And we're learning the horse
Yeah,
today.
and so that's there was no give up in anything we ever did. So, so fast forward to when he rolls around, I haven't really met him yet, and he's going to come check these cows. It was a dairy cows, wasn't it? Because he had a dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's
Steve
got,
Stillman
he's got
dairy
this
cow.
4-wheeler. And so he's like, well, you can jump on the back
Need
of
a
the
ride,
4-wheeler with me. And so I get on the back of the 4-wheeler and he puts his hand on my thigh. And I was like,
Easy, Romeo.
but moved it right back over, And I forget you got a flat tire. Because I said, hey, this pasture's pretty
He probably uncorked
pretty stubby. Like dad's been brush hogging. Daddy's been brush hogging. Oh, it'll be fine. I know what I'm doing. Well, sure enough, we got a flat tire on that 4-wheeler. And
I shouldn't have you back far enough in the brush
So
to make my
then-
move.
just to smooth things over, he was like, hey, would you like to go to the horse show?
See, this is the part I really don't remember.
Yeah.
You know what
So
I mean?
we
Yeah,
had-
the little
This is the
detail.
part
We
don't
had, I don't know
remember.
if you remember, but like the saddle club, the little small towns had the saddle clubs where we were
Absolutely.
all like big, participants in the saddle club. He was like, hey, I got a horse show tonight. Wouldn't go? And I was like, maybe, okay. Well, he never shows up, never calls, never nothing.
No shows?
No shows. Sure enough.
Is this the part we can cut out
Sure
of the
enough.
out of the podcast?
Yeah. Stood me up.
I think we got
Yeah.
our wires crossed
Yeah.
or something. Really, I mean,
But when, like, I don't know, it was a few months after that, he started noticing me at school, I guess, maybe more, I don't know. And he called me. His mama actually has a picture. Remember landline phones? I mean, do we remember those?
Absolutely.
She has a picture of him calling me, and he had a girlfriend at the time. He's a player. Yeah,
Well,
he's a player. And
before you hire your replacement, you got to find your replacement, you know what I mean, in the business world. So you don't fire somebody until you find the next person. I just wanted to make sure she was okay to come on over, right?
And I said, very politely, I was like, you have a girlfriend, so call me back when you don't. You know what I mean? Kind of
absolutely. Like, sorry, Bubs.
So, but anyway, and long story short, like the next day or two at school, he come up and said, "Well, I don't have a girlfriend anymore," and
took care of that.
Yeah, and then we kind of we started seeing each other, and he was the basketball star and the worker. But I always say that, I wasn't the prettiest girl in school. Lord knows I wasn't the athletic girl. He liked me because I was a worker. Like he knew I was out there fixing fence with my dad. Milk. I mean, we had a milk cow. Like I milked a cow every morning.
You were be his wife.
Yeah.
With my dad being older, my mom, I learned my very first tractor I learned how to drive was a bicycle front end Farmall tractor.
I remember that.
And I learned to brush hog on that thing. And when we spread gravel, we went down to the creek bed and we
got it yourself.
Shoveled it. And I mean, we didn't have a gravel truck come in and dump gravel. I mean, we did things like his way, like how he would have done them growing up.
Enough money.
No, but I mean, like,
the point is,
but that's what I'm saying. Like it was, and that's how, we always laugh because when his yard mowing deals, he had several of the older ladies, and then he had our Summersville cemetery that was massive. It was huge, and you know how cemeteries are.
Especially from that part of the world,
yeah, and you're the caretaker. I mean, you got to weed eat, and
that's a big job.
So he's like, well, why don't you come up and help me out today? So my mom brings me up there, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna jump on this riding mower, and I'm gonna wing around here.
I was testing her out. You got to test things out.
So I get up there and he hands me the push mower. And I was like, oh. So I thought, okay, I can either, go with this and we'll see how this works out. And I passed the test, obviously. I mean, we just celebrated our 31st wedding anniversary. But I laughed because, I feel like what enticed him the most was
That's
work
not,
ethic.
That's not true. You were the most bubbly person in school.
Well, I was that.
Your
I
heart's
was
as
that.
good as gold.
I was
and
that.
You're so bubbly.
I know. I was that.
That's not a lie. She does work her butt off.
Oh yeah, that's you're not hiding that.
Yeah.
So we dated all the way through high
sophomore.
school.
Yep. Yeah. We were homecoming king and queen.
Yep.
We were prom king and queen, which I feel like he paid off the basketball players. Mm-hmm. Because at that time in our high school, like it was voted on, like
it was really votes. I mean,
it was real votes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you didn't just get it.
Yeah, you just
and I'm just a nobody country girl,
not who your mom and dad was.
Yeah. And so they announced my name, and I was like, oh, okay, but it was awesome. Like it was like he laid a big kiss on me.
But I know the real. In fact, today, I bet I can ask a couple of sets.
Yeah.
To see how sweet and non-competitive you were.
She was a catch, and everybody knows I got a catch when I got her.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, you think about how my mom, and it sounds so stupid, my mom making me praying for that and seeking God for that. And I didn't even know what I was seeking God for, but she told me, what to say. And I said it because mom said it. You know what I mean? And so that's what I did. And I think now, I mean, what'd he give me? I mean, I couldn't replace her times 10. You know what I mean? She's an angel. You know what I mean? And so, that's pretty much happened. So we dated there.
Mm-hmm. Got married a year after we graduated.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got married. Yeah. So I rented a house for $150 a month.
Still right there.
Right there in Summersville,
Missouri.
And I worked at a sawmill at that time. Well, let's back up just a minute. At 18 years old, I had a nervous breakdown, you'd pretty much say. I was working night shift at home at a fabrication over at Angelica. Fabrication.
Yeah, it's Fab. It was Fab over at Mountain View.
And I'd work from 11 to 7, and I'd come home and I'd eat something, take a shower, and I'd go to school. And my best friend's mom, she had art. You know how you have senior year, you have a half a day? And so I'd sleep that first hour. And so she'd let me, because she knew my life. And when I went over to their house, it was like, oh my gosh, they have such nice things. They even have Miracle Whip. You know, I didn't have none of that nice stuff. And we couldn't, like, with Mom bought ice cream, we couldn't have all we wanted. She'd make sure it was portioned.
It was a luxury.
It was a luxury. Yeah, you're right. 100%. It was a luxury. So those things I don't regret. The hard times, because when you have hard times, it makes a hard person that can withstand. If you have an easy life, you might get soft.
Make soft.
And so looking back, I don't regret that, because at 12 years old, when I had to say goodbye to my mom and we got burned out of our house, I learned how to fight. And Grandpa taught me, like, you got this, you grind, you get up, and so he put a lot of that in me. And so we graduated, and then I wanted to live on my own, and I knew I wanted to marry her. I asked her to marry me after our senior year, there.
So I was 19.
I was 18. She's older than I am.
I was 19 years old. Yeah.
And so house cost $150 a month, and there was rats in it, and there was plastic.
We had plastic over our windows.
Plastic all over.
And I remember laying, like, after we got married, you know, I remember laying in bed, and you could hear, like, the mice in our
running around.
That was that's where it all started, in that little house right there.
Yeah.
So what? And you were working at a fab shop,
like a factory.
Yeah. Well, no, that's when I had. It was just when I was 18. It was too much on an 18-year-old. Be like putting the pressure of a 2-year-old on Smart Little Lena or Rolls Royce or all those good studs. You know, as a 2-year-old, I didn't know this, but I was just grinding too hard, and I put too much pressure, and I just had a breakdown. And so I had to quit that. You know, I mean, I had to come to the spot to where I had to just, like, hey, it's too much, you know. And she's seen it, and she went through it with me. You know what I mean? And so at that time, graduated, you know. And when I moved out, and I stayed in that house by myself. I wanted to live by myself first before I married her, because I wanted to see what life was about outside. My dad bawled like a baby, you know, when I left the house, because I was the last baby.
Last woman.
And so moved out, and then I got a job in West Plains at a sawmill type deal.
A flooring mill.
Mm-hmm. And so I did that and lived there for a little while, and then we got married.
Mm-hmm. I went to college at night.
Worked
during the day.
We'd all work, and basically we worked some more.
And when did horses come into play? Like,
well, we always deal with horses at the $2 horse shows. It would cost $2 to enter, you know, at those little deals. And we kind of did that, but like I think we started having some papered horses, like a AQHA papered American quarter horse, maybe when I was 17, 18, maybe.
Well, you rode like foxtrotters and walking horses, and you did that.
And so I
of your youth.
Didn't have much knowledge, but all we did is kind of barrel raced and roped a little bit, and it wasn't like my son or you roping now. It wasn't that kind of roping. We just kind of caught one. And we'd catch wild cows. We'd run them till they do, and they paid $100 a head then at that time. So let's see. So where was I at then?
Well, like we did the little saddle club deals, but
that's basically, so when I had 2 vacations my whole life. And one time we went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and my cousin worked there on a cutting horse ranch. And I'll bring up the ranch a little later. I bet I already know it. He said, "Would you like to ride a cutting horse?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." Knew just enough about horses, just kind of not really, but just enough to know
You
what
were
a cutting horse-
inspired by seeing it. Yeah. You were like, wait
and
a second.
I'd seen one on TV once or twice maybe, and he said, okay, let's go saddle some up and we'll go gather cattle. And we went, and I was about 14 or 15. I'd have to ask Mom, 14 or 15, and went out there and gathered cattle, and it felt like 150 head that we drove in there, but it may have been just 30, because we lived on, little bitty place and
Had a couple cows.
Yeah, we didn't even have
That you milk.
Yeah, my grandpa had some cows, but I didn't have any. Jenny had more cows than I did, but I worked cows. I day helped around, not with a horse. I day helped around Summersville helping people work cows. So I knew how to
be around cow.
Yeah, be around a cow. And
You
so
were cowy.
Yeah,
you had
I was,
to have been, because I see it now.
Yeah, I developed some cow somewhere in that realm. And so I rode 3 cutting horses that day, and it was phenomenal. I'll never forget it. It was the best thrill I ever had. It was phenomenal. And I was so thankful that he let me do that. And I never forgot that. And so when I come back, on my high school deal, it said, what do you want to be? And I said, a horse trainer. Even though I had a scholarship to play basketball, I just wanted to be a horse trainer. And so, and I blew out my knee my senior year, and my parents didn't have no insurance, so I wasn't able to fix my knee, so ended up not going. So that was my first ride ever on a cutting horse. So when Jenny and I got married, we worked at Golden Hill Trail Rides. We went up there together as a package, and I led trail rides out. And so that was
where would that have been? Somewhere up there?
It was
Raymondville,
30 minutes.
Missouri.
30 minutes north of Summersville.
Yeah.
So
I worked in the kitchen and help clean the rooms and
Absolutely. So it was like a tourist spot where people would come and
that was my first time ever seeing Clinton Anderson and being able to watch him, because they had him come in there as a clinician
and do a clinic.
Yeah.
And so Tom Coddington and him, it was an equine dentist that had some tricks and a horseman and stuff like that. And so I was able to see some stuff up there. I was like,
and you learned some stuff. You were like,
holy moly, this is cool. You can do this with a horse, Never knew.
A lot of John Lyons techniques. John Lyons, Clinton Anderson.
And Clinton was just starting, because that would have been.
Yeah, he was young. Would have just come over
28 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, we'd been married maybe a year or two or something. Yeah. So we've been married 31 years. So it was, and so anyways, I seen all that and everything. And so we'd go back home to her mom and dad. Her dad was a huge inspiration to me. Like, he was like, buy this, get this, son, do this, do that. I'm like, how are we going to do it? Yeah, we'll figure it out, And so he was a huge pusher to me.
Yeah, he lit your fire.
He lit my fire. He was huge to me in my life. And my dad was great, but so I'll tell a story about my dad versus her dad, okay? And where this lied in at. And so we come back there, and so their 360 acres was right here, and there was 80 acres right across from there that was really nice, 80 acres. And so he said, hey, why don't you try to buy that? How am I going to get it? He said, well, that farmer probably owner finance it to you. I heard the other day he'd sell it and owner finance it. He said, go talk to him. Okay. So he got his number. I called him up, went over there and talked to him. And the payment was $311.28. That's what the payment was on the place after you owner finance. I'll never forget it. We had a little blue book.
The little blue book with the payment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I was 2 payments, if we couldn't make 2 payments,
he'd take it back.
He took it back. And so anyways, long story short, I come back to my father-in-law and said, man, he'll owner finance. Let's do that. He goes, first thing I'd do is sell that nice truck you got out there. I said, what do you mean? Well, how much the payments are? And I said, well, I don't know. They must have been $400, $500, $600, or I don't know what they was, but more than my land payment. I said, okay. So I kind of talked to my grandpa. My grandpa said, well, I got an old Chevy truck. It don't run very good, but we'd have to rebuild the motor. And so long story short, I sold that new truck back. I got that old Chevy truck. I had a guy that just got out of prison help me rebuild the motor, and I rebuilt the motor. One of my stepbrothers, my brother's there, he helped me put an old wooden bed. It had an orange door and a gray body. I humbled myself and I drove that truck. And that's the only truck
And
I had
y'all
to
lived
drive.
on that land.
We ended up buying that land. Well,
Was there a little house on it, or
No,
I'll
there
get
was
to that
nothing.
now.
Yeah,
I'll get
it
to
was
that,
all
so-
it had on it was just an outside
all it had was
fence.
outside perimeter fence. I said, Dad, I got to figure out how to. I talked to my dad and I said, I got to figure out. I was renting a house for $150 a month, and the reason I know these figures is because it was really
it
hard.
was a lot? Yeah.
So he said, well, so-and-so had a trailer house. It was a 14 by 60 trailer. It was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. And the payment was, I went to the bank, the payment was going to be $148.13 or something. It was $2 under my rent payment. And I said, okay. I said, I think we can do that, and the bank there was good. They knew everybody. You knew everybody in town. Everybody knew everybody. And so we were talking, and we could come up with enough money to get the trailer over there, but I didn't have enough money to move it. We just couldn't find the money. And so my Uncle Dole Bradford, my mom's brother, he said, you get it bought, we'll move it. Uncle Dole, how are we going to move this thing?
Now let me say, this trailer was in a valley in the country, like dirt road, like 20 miles down this dirt road.
Kody, she's
like-
not.
No way we're trying to move it today.
No.
Well, the fact that where it came from, the fact that we even moved it is a miracle.
Cody, she's not lying. I
Like
mean,
it was in the sticks.
It was.
It was stuck
We
back
lived in
there.
kind of the outskirts of what you'd call the sticks now, down
Yeah.
the dirt road and stuff. But this was
Yeah,
major.
it was in the sticks.
So Uncle Dole, he called me and he said, hey, we're going to move that. We can move that trailer. I said, how are we going to do it? He goes, my international tractor. He goes, I talked to the cop. We're going to move it across town. So-and-so this morning, we're going to move it. Okay. So we went down there, we jacked it all up, put wheels on it, and we moved that sucker across town in the international tractor.
My house, my very first house, was pulled through the town square.
County.
Yeah. The county.
The
Town
county.
square with a tractor.
And so,
But we saved money.
so we moved that out there, right there on that 80 acres. And that's
Yeah.
where it all began, on that 80 acres. And so we were 20, you were 22 when you had Lane, right? And we had him right there in that house.
Well, not in the house, but
Well,
yeah, like I went to a hospital,
Yeah.
but yes, yeah.
and so we built a little barn, and I was landscaping. I was making $12 an hour, and that was a lot of money.
Yeah, you were doing good,
So
which is a lot of work, that landscape.
So at that time, I was landscaping and I was breaking horses at about, 20. We moved that. We must have been 20 years old when we did that, just approximately 20, 21 years old, because we had Lane at 22 and we had Lane, we were in that house. So we were 20, 21 right there, and we was kind of getting the trailer set up, and we drilled a well. And that's all we could do right there. And so we ended up getting enough money. So what we would do is Jenny was working at
The school.
the school, and I was landscaping, and I would come home and cut cordwood and break horses. But when I was breaking them, I was only breaking them we was charging $300, and I was just breaking them. John Lyons, teaching them how to rein, as much as I could, pivot, that just
Getting them
stuff.
broke where you could
Yeah.
get on them and
Just-
ride them somewhere.
And I mean, when I say like we would have the stud that came that was
Just
like,
hang on, though, you're getting ahead of
Okay.
yourself, because so we were able to put stalls in that
oh, okay.
in that pole barn. We'd have
Yeah.
enough horses. We'd put I was getting some racetrack horses and some Pasafinas and some fox
Whatever
trotters.
anybody.
Anybody,
Well,
yeah.
I needed
yeah.
extra money. I needed all the extra money. I had a kid coming. We had a kid coming, and she was working, and I was working 2 or 3 jobs and was trying to break these horses. I don't know how I was feeding them at $300, but I remember
You were
we
doing
charged
it.
$300 a month. And so anyways, so she was doing that and I was doing that. And so I had a guy out of Kentucky that I was breaking a horse for. We met at a sale barn. And so I used to ride those sale barns through for $25 a horse, those sale barn horses. And so we end up being good friends. And so he ended up coming down there back and forth and seeing me. And so he said, hey, how much would it cost to build you just like a little arena, like a little barn to ride in? I don't know. And so I asked this guy that built other pole barns there. And so we built a 60 by 60 arena to ride in, like a round pen, but it had a roof over it and had stalls on each side. And so we built that. He gave me a $13,000 check. And I'll never remember, I can't make that stuff up, you know? So it's $13,000 to build this pole barn and everything. This was 20 years ago, you know, 25 years ago. And so we built that barn and we started riding horses at night so I could put electric up. And we did all our own electric. Nobody, my brothers, whoever we could get around there to help. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To build stuff and
just put it up when you could.
Yeah, augured the 4x6s in there and done it all ourselves, you know. And so that was just for the materials, the $13,000, and we put it all up ourselves, you know. And so, but behind this barn, I had a little bitty, and I hooked them together, you know, kind of hooked them together. And so I just started riding more. We started riding more and more horses out of there. And so it just kept getting to be more and more horses. And I know what
people
story
just started sending them to you.
Yeah, and what story she was going to tell us.
Yes, and I mean, when I say random horses, I mean, I'm thankful for them, but we got some rank horses. I mean, there was a stud that we got in that had never been saddled, and he was like already 8 years old.
He was an Appaloosa, and he was 8 years old.
And I mean, Michael's gonna break this horse, so you know what I mean. And
we had to feed the family.
It was just like
we had no money left. The time we had a trailer house, we had a land payment, and we were working. We had to hustle. I mean, we had to hustle. Like there was no extra money. If you want to know how many times she can fix eggs different way, I can tell you, because when you go to the refrigerator, that was one of the cheapest free things we could get is people would give you eggs from chickens, you know, and we'd have hogs we'd butcher and whatever else. So she could cook anything and she'd make something up, like whatever we had to do. So we had Lane, and bless her heart, when we had those horses in there 10 days before she had Lane, she push mowed the freaking lawn, and it wasn't no house town lawn. It was an acre. It was big. And she cleaned 10 stalls because I had to be riding those horses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Landscaping and riding. And so she push mowed that lawn and she cleaned 10 stalls 10 days before she had Lane. And so anyways, you know,
it was just us. Like we didn't have a stall cleaner.
Show.
Yeah, it was y'all.
We didn't have a low, you know, it was him and I.
Yeah, it was one show pony right there. We cleaned, we watered, we saddled. So at that time, she would get up of a morning and she would go feed all the horses. I would leave like at 4 or 5 o'clock to go landscape, because we'd landscape about an hour away.
Mornings.
So she would take Lane, or she would go feed, come back in, grab Lane, take him to the babysitter or my mom or
grandma,
whoever we could get, and then go to her work, come back home, grab Lane, or mom would keep Lane and
start doing chores.
And she would start doing chores or picking stalls. Then when I would get home, probably right about she did or what the time, and then I would keep riding. And I remember her opening the back door of that trailer house and say, Michael, yeah, come up here. Lane will not go to sleep. It's like, okay, I got to stop. So I'd stop everything and I'd go rock this boy. He's special because he's my first boy, you know? And so I'd rock him and I'd fall asleep, and she'd have to wake me up to go back down and finish the barn or whatever. But that kid would not go to sleep any night
without you.
She would have to come and get me every single night to get him to sleep, almost at least 4 nights. Yeah,
every time.
It was something. It was crazy. So sorry. It's pretty emotional looking back at what you had to go through to get where you're at. And there's so much more story to it, you know, and I feel like we're taking too long, you know, because it's so much story.
It's a powerful story.
So much story. And so, you know, we just did that. And then we just rode and we did that until we couldn't do no more. And anytime somebody would start sending me a horse, I'd watch videos, and I had 3 videos. It was Hip to Be Square with Roger Wagner, Paul Hansma and Matt Gaines. And then Ronnie and Tag. Those 3 videos. And if you don't think you can wear out a VHS, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I wore them out. I had to buy another copy of them after I got into it. I'd watch them. And so any farmer that would let me ride their horse or something, I'd put it on a cow if I could.
Yeah, you were,
because I had 80 acres, so I had some cows around there. We pieced together cows, or we'd let them grow and whatever. So I'd work them on a cow. I'd out in that 60 by 60 ring, or I had some panels that I put around the backside of my barn. I still got pictures of it. And so one time, my biggest break was Roger. He was I can't remember his last name. Anyways, this guy was a cousin of Roger. Gosh dang, I can't remember. He sent me 6 horses at one time, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
Oh, from Arkansas?
No, from the Little Pep.
RC's Little Pep.
RC's Little Pep. I can't remember his name, but Roger is his first name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he sent me. He said, "Hey, do you want to ride some cutting horses? My cousin's got a bunch of cutting horses up there, and he needs somewhere to send them. He's got a lot of horses. Yeah, I'll ride whatever you got." So he sent those horses to me. And so at that time, I trained them there, and I put a little bit bigger round pen in the back of my barn. So we got the pole barn, we got the 60 by 60, and I put panels on the outside of my barn. Okay. So these are the best horses at that time I was ever sent. And I can't remember I can't remember how she was bred right now, but her name was RC Little Pep. And so I started training her. And at that time, I'd went to a cutting or two. I'd met Jerry Hampton.
Yeah.
And Jerry Hampton kind of took me under there, and he's like, "Hey, who are you?" You know, and he talked to me and everything. And so I got to go up to his place and start riding. He was about 2 hours away. So it was hard to be able to afford to be able to
get up there,
trailer up there, because I didn't charge nobody mileage. You know,
right.
I just needed to learn what to do to these horses. And so him and Donnie Orell at the time, they were working up there both together. And so they kind of kept schooling me. And so I ended up buying my first horse. His name was Quarterback Doc. And so he found him real cheap. And so I bought him. And that was the first time I ever got to show a cutting horse. I had to buy my own horse to show it. And so I went to a couple shows, and they put me in the 2000 Limited because I didn't know come here some sick 'em. I didn't know what to do. And they, I started learning how to quit a cow and do all this. So I went in there on this horse. I marked 74 first time out. And I'm like, shit. And I want to check. I made more than I was like, I can make money from this, Jenny. This is cool. And so I went, there was 2 days in a row, and went the next day, I marked 5. I won both classes, and I think I made $500 or something. I was like,
it was a big deal for you.
Holy moly. This is awesome. We got to figure out how to do this, So in the meantime, I'm riding for this Roger, and he calls me and he says, "Hey, do you want to show at the fraternity?" Yes. Yeah, I'll show at the fraternity. This is how green I was. I didn't know where the fraternity was at, but I was going to go show. I wasn't going to say no to anything. You know what I'm saying? So Stan Bell and Kevin Miller and Larry Bilo, I kind of got hooked up with them because they were all up in there around that Carthage, that Columbia area and stuff.
And that Bilo, that would be Andy Bilo's
Daddy.
His dad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just met him recently. A great guy.
And Donnie O'Brien, those guys all, Scott Brewer was there at the time. And so all those.
Galen Wells.
Galen Wells is the one that really taught me how to show a horse and pick cows. So that story, I mean, that man
means a lot.
That man's unbelievable. He's truly family to us. I mean, I love that guy. And so, anyways, I end up. Larry Bilo said, "Do you want to go down with us?" And I said, "Yes, that would be great because I don't know how to get there or what to do." So Larry said, "Yeah, just ride with us." Well, Larry put me in the driver's seat, and Larry jumped in the back seat and fell asleep. And I was so scared because I didn't know where to go. I was like, at that time you didn't have your
never
phones.
really had left.
No, and you didn't. I'd only been on 2 vacations, and the one was where I rode my first cutting horse. And I'm going to tell you about that whenever I guess we get to it. And I didn't even know how to get there. But anyways, I get there, and long story short, I mark a 13.5 and a 14.5, and they said, "Hey, good job. You're going to make the John Deere finals at that time. I think it was the John Deere finals call. I said, awesome. And you had to enter it at that time. It wasn't a one deal there. I didn't enter it. And so I would have made the John Deere finals the first time out, and I didn't enter it. That guy didn't know, and I didn't know, and I didn't know what to do. So anyways, I come back up there, and that mare was a warrior for me. She was a warrior. I wore her hawks out.
RC Little Pet.
Yes, RC
RC's
Little Pet. She
yep.
won. I won $7,000 or $14,000, but they were all up there at the $300 addeds. Like I could win a cutting, and no, I didn't know nothing. This mare would just whack it up, you know. And if I would do bad, I'd watch those. I'd learn how to do it from Matt and Paul and Roger and all those. That's how I learned how to
videos.
Yeah, and whatever those guys, Scott Brewer and Stan Bell and Larry
At the show,
whatever they would teach me, or if I could ever get a chance to go work with them, that's how it was. And so, let's see, I guess I just started getting more cutting horses at that time. I started getting 2-year-olds to ride for Joe West Davis. And you remember Joe West Davis?
I know the name, yes,
yeah.
sir.
So he sent me all the 2-year-olds. And so he sent me a couple years worth of 2-year-olds, and he'd come get them like most people do and send them to the good trainers, you know? And so one year he said, hey, you want to train this yellow horse, this Palomino horse? Yes, sir. I'd love to. And that guy, when you talk about people in your life that's very special, that man's extremely special to me. He entered me in spots that I should have never entered, but I don't want to go there yet because I need to tell you about this yellow horse. So he left this yellow horse there. In about April or May, I call him. I said, Mr. Joe, this don't seem like a very good horse. He said, son, he's your only horse. Train him. Yes, sir. Hung up the phone. Okay, yes, sir. He was trying to teach me a lesson, Kody. He gave me the worst horse, and I needed to make it. I needed to make it work. So I called him again in August, and he'd kind of looked this horse, and I'm sure he knew it was a bad horse. I'm sure he did. And he was paying me to ride it. And, you know, he's given this family, you know, with 2 kids. We'd had Lance,
we had Lance by then, yeah.
You know, and we had 2 little kids, and he knew we was living in that little trailer and
doing everything he could to survive.
Doing everything we could do to survive. And it was literally survive. I mean, what all these spoilt kids now don't know about surviving. I don't do spoilt, and if you call me with a hard story, it's hard for me to feel sorry for you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
In all respect, like, because I know, and every champion that's a champion has had hard times, and they're a champion because they work hard. So I call him in August, and I say, Joe, this horse ain't very good. He's not very good. He's not the kind of horse that you like. And he said, son, I'll never forget these words. He said, son, I guess you didn't hear me the first time I told you. He's your only horse. You get him trained and you figure it out. Okay, yes, sir, Mr. Joe. Hung up the phone.
Well, and let me stop you for a second, because, you know, Michael, to this day, he's always been real good about treating that customer's money like it's ours. So, like, you know, he didn't want to do wrong by Mr. Joe by, you know, wasting Mr. Joe's money.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, by rights, he was trying to do the right thing by, okay.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't because you were scared of the job you could do.
Like, he just wanted, didn't want.
I didn't have no confidence. I didn't know if I was doing a good job or not. I didn't have no confidence in there, and I'll be able to tell that story about confidence here in a little bit.
But so in his defense, he was trying to do right by. Why are we wasting? Why he just didn't want him to be disappointed.
But you got to understand, like, riding for Mr. Joe was like up here, like it was like
a big deal.
It was a big deal, and I didn't want to disappoint him, and I didn't want to look bad because I knew what his expectations. He had some of the best horses around, you know? So anyways, I went to the Iowa fraternity on this horse, very first thing out, and I'll never forget the girl that worked for me. She's like, what are you going to do? I worked him 3 times that morning that I went there, and I said, I have no idea, but we're going. And we made the finals on that horse in the small fraternity up there. Come back to Columbia. I don't know if I made it, but Mr. Joe won the class. And then we go to Congress, Quarter Horse Congress, and that was my fraternity, you know. and he won it there, and I made the finals, both of us on this yellow horse. And so we took him and we sold him because he knew he wasn't. He said, good job. He goes, I'm proud of you. The next year, I got to keep a better horse. And then the next year, I got the good horses. And so I end up riding all my horses, and he ended up making me helped make me who I am today, because he believed, I guess he believed in me enough to push you through, to push me through. And I think every horse trainer in the industry has to have that special person. And I got about 4 special people in my life that has done that, which we can talk about when we get further. But he was the one that entered me when I shouldn't have been entered, Kody. You know what I mean? Everybody
Absolutely.
needs to have that spot to where somebody's spending an entry fee, because I would do bad, and Will Rogers and Jennifer's
but they believed in you.
And I'd come up there and I'd lose a cow or miss a cut or something would happen. He goes, horse feathers, son. We'll get them next time. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And so it made you feel comfortable about keep going, and he'd build your confidence, even though inside I'm sure he's like, my pocketbook just got drained some more.
Yeah, exactly.
So where are we at from there? So we ride quite a bit right there, and Jenny and I end up making enough money to build a house. And in 2007, we made the finals on He's a Smart Taz. And you want to hear a funny story about that? I got a real funny story about that. So Matt Gaines and I hook up through buying a horse somewhere in between the yellow horse in 2007. So he says, hey, you want to come out to the house and work your finalist horse? Come on. Okay, all right. When I went out there, I was like, holy moly. I mean, he's like machine. He probably had 6 or 7 horses.
This is when he's on Bethel.
Yeah.
When he's on Bethel. Yeah. And I mean,
he's rolling.
Matt Gaines would get over there and he's stopping this horse and not letting it go, and maybe one rearing up or whatever. And I mean, you got those arms, you know, and he's doing this. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in there and make my horse wait and stop. I did, but I missed some little signal between that and what Matt Gaines was doing. And my horse went over there and stopped in the finals and went, hey, Cal.
Our very first fraternity finals, and it was like,
let the wind
punch.
right
It was
out of
the
yourself.
longest 2.5 minutes
2.5 minutes.
I'm like,
the arena goes quiet.
I got to figure out what Matt did, because I missed something. I missed something in between there, you know? And so that's a funny story there.
Absolutely.
And so in 2009, Daryl Rodrock called me, and he said, hey, I want to hire you. I said, well, I think I want to move here. I don't think I want to move. I got my place here and everything. And Jenny and I built a house.
We had the house built by then.
Right in there.
The boys were older and
not a fancy house.
No, but it meant the world to y'all because
it was home.
yeah, absolutely.
Let me tell you, we kept that trailer. I kept that trailer.
Yeah.
I'd have moved it to Texas if I could have.
You wanted a house close to your parents? There's your house close to your parents.
And so we pulled it over there and used it for some of our help. At that time, we started getting a little bit of help, you know. And so Daryl Rodrock called me and he goes, I'd like to hire you. And I said, nah, I'll stay here. He goes, how can you say no when you don't even know what I'm going to offer you? Well, I guess that's a good point. And he said, would you guys move up here? And I said, man, I don't think so. I mean, I'm still scared a little bit at that time. Like I don't really want to move away from my town or my ranch or anything. We put, at that time, I think we'd put just a little bit more land together, because we end up having 1,000 acres by the time we sold out up there. Now that land started at $300 an acre, you know what I mean? So it was cheap land, but really good cow calf. Jenny and I got up to 250 mama cows at one time up there. So anyways, long story short, the man with the goal makes the rules. So we end up moving to Kansas.
Bucyrus, Kansas.
And we signed a 5-year contract for Mr. Darrell, and we end up staying just 3 years because his health got bad.
Right.
And so we drew the plans out, and we were coming back home to Summersville. And so we were getting the barn stuff ready, and Mr. Darrell was unbelievable about the stuff he did. I mean, he bought my turnback horse, he bought my babysitter, he bought some saddles, and he just give it all back to us. He give it all back to us. He severed me out of the 5-year contract. It was unbelievable what he did for us. You know what I mean?
And y'all are still, your boys have, that he's like family, because don't they go fish with him? And
Lane is very, like, he's very, well, they're both very close with him, but him and Lane
do a lot together.
Well, they kind of separated. Gary Rosenbach was huge in my life, which we'll get to in a minute. And then Daryl and Lane took Daryl, and Lance took there because the age group, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so they were real close. So we end up, I tell you what Daryl did for me. We had all these horses, right? Like pretty good set of horses. And he'd bought them out. We bought them out of the sale and all them. Stir Stylish Lizzie, Wiley Cat, Spooky Time to Shine.
Stir Stylish Lizzie,
I love
one
that
of my
horse.
favorites.
I love that horse. I wish I knew now what I could have known to do better
you had
on
him
that.
back.
I wish I had him back. And so anyways, he let me take those horses and sell them to customers that would keep them with me. That's the only reason I was able to make everything work, because in 2008, so 2009, I moved there. And then that's when I was reserve on Yada Cat.
Yes.
And that was a huge deal. Jennifer wasn't even.
I wasn't even there.
She wasn't even there.
Yeah.
She was with the boys in Kansas.
Yeah.
That's
a funny story.
At a play.
Christmas play.
At a Christmas play.
Yeah. Because you honored your word, and they said.
Well, Lane was like Joseph.
Yeah. So.
And that's a pretty important role at a Christmas play.
You're not taking Joseph
Can't
away.
take Joseph away. Yeah. So he's at the fraternity, and Nate Lansford worked for us at the time.
Yes.
And
Nate would have been young too then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is before like PHC, and you could watch it on your phone. I didn't know what was going on. And so the fraternity finals was the same night as the Christmas play. So Lane is Joseph. Lance is like a shepherd or something. Of course, all the grandmas, aunts, uncles. It's packed house at this church. It's packed. I've got grandma over here and another lady over here. I've got people all around me, and of course we got my phone and
flip phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate texts me, and
like the first one of them Nokias.
Yeah. And he's about to go, I'm like, okay, well then I'm just waiting, and we didn't have the bubbles on the phone where you could wait.
I
just had to wait. And then Lane is like watching me from the stage, and then Nate texts me the score. It was a 226. And so you could tell Lane was watching me rather than trying to
do the play.
And he kind of gives me the eye on the stage. And I went, well, first of all, because
Lane's old enough to know that I was showing, he knows that we bring money in if we win.
Yeah.
We
when Nate texted me the score, I went, oh, like I made this big gasp. Okay. And all these people are like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? And Lane's looking at me at the time. And then I go, 2-2-6, like that.
I mean, he knows what score is.
And so these women are like, are you okay? I was like, well, I think my husband just won this big show.
Fraternity.
And of course, they don't know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden, Joseph leaves the scene. He's gone. And he wants to talk to his dad. So Joseph's gone. They never,
no.
It's a wonder we didn't get kicked out of this church, because I wrecked the whole Christmas play. So I got to get up, go find Joseph. And then by that time, things are wrapping up with their Christmas play, and he wants to talk to his dad. I find Lance, and I feel like a horrible wife because I'm not there supporting my husband.
But we wanted to teach our kids. She wanted to teach our kids that
absolutely
your word's your word. And so
when you sign up,
it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
We got a couple rules in our house, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
So.
But so that was our.
So, anyways, that
was our Christmas play.
It was Tony Pickett went in right behind me, and they didn't know who Michael Cooper was.
Yeah, Rockin' B.
He marked 229 and
unbelievable.
Yeah. And so, fraternity's been a hard battle for me, honestly, but not giving up. In 2009, 2010, I go to the bash and I tear everything in my knee. I went 9 or 7 years with no ACL. I would reach up and pop because I couldn't stop. So when I blew my knee out, remember at high school? So my mom and dad didn't have no
fix it.
No insurance.
Didn't fix it.
So we couldn't fix it right. So during these horse deals, when I was back at Missouri, I'd hurt it or something. It'd take me 3 days and I'd have to go landscaping on one leg. He said, "What are you doing?" And I might have one crutch. I said, "I will not." I mean, we had to have the money. If we didn't, we're losing the farm. Like legitly losing the farm. Like I took one crutch and a shovel because I had to do the dirt. I said, "I'll outwork all the rest of the guys, I promise." And I did. And when I'd get home, Jennifer had to put ice. It was bad. It was bad. And so it was, I can't tell you how bad and scary it was for me. And so you learn to try to go through your pain. My mom taught me when I was a kid, she said, "Son, everything in your body will help you except for one thing. Everything in your blood vessel, your heart tries to help and fix, except for this." He said, "There's a little small thing in that brain." And he goes, "It's the smallest thing in your body, but it can work against you." So she said, "You learn to control that." My mom was we made ledgers of checkbooks. She taught me the right things. Didn't have no money. We didn't have anything, but she taught me the right things here. And so she gave me the right instruments to use here. And then it was up to me to go finish it out.
Go get it.
Yeah, to finish it out. And so anyways,
tore your knee there at the bash.
From the bash and snugged my toe, and they had to carry me out, and I was out. It's that time I had Spooky's Time to Shine and Wiley Cat, Sir Stylish Lizzie. I had all them horses. And so that was September, October of their 3-year-old year. So they sent Wiley Cat to Dirk Blakesley and sent Spooky's Time to Shine to Steve Olaf, and they both made the futurity finals on those horses. And Sir Stylish Lizzie, I trained him specially for Mr. Darrell. And nobody showed him in the open. That was his horse that he bought in the sale. He goes, "Train this one for me." Okay, so that's what I did. That, talking about young trainers and training, that probably taught me the most of training horses there was out of anything, because Sir Stylish Lizzie had no pressure. I was training for Mr. Darrell, and he ended up being the best horse. So that tells you that if you just let off the pressure a little bit and just train them, think about training them for a non-pro amateur, sometimes they end up better, and those horses taught me that right there, those 3 horses. And so anyways, fast forwarding it to 2010 is when Mr. Darrell said, "Hey, we gotta
be done.
We gotta be done." And so he let me sell those horses. And that's how I sold J-Bar one time to James Hooper.
Okay.
And Chad Bashaw told Gary Rosenbeck, that's when him and Gary were talking a lot, moving money and buying farms and stuff. And he was building the place. And he said, "Hey, you might want to check with Michael. There's a bunch of good horses. You might try to buy some of them." So they come up there to buy 2 of the best 3-year-olds and Yada Cat. And they wanted 2 of the best ones, and they picked Yada Cat. And I said, "Guys," and I had full right or refusal to do whatever I wanted as far as the horses. Mr. Darrell was unbelievable. Not very many people get this chances in a lifetime. And he was so great to me. He said, "You do what you want to do." So I sold the best one to Gary and Yada Cat, and I said, "I'll sell you 2 and I get to keep 1. I said, "You pick whichever 3-year-old you want and you can take Yada Cat, but I'm keeping 1 of them." Because I had to do something,
had to have something,
or I was going to lose all my horses.
Right.
Pretty soon, bam, you have no horses. And you know what it's like to try to rebuild a program. So I went that year and I was 2nd and 3rd on Spooky or J-Bar one time, and I'm Short and Smooth.
I'm Short and Smooth.
And that was the first horse that Gary ever had made the finals. Ever made the finals. And so he called me that next April while Jenny and I are trying to build the barn to move back to Missouri. And he said, hey, I want you to come to Texas and go to work for me. I said, no. I said, I'm building this barn and everything. Same thing I told Daryl, you know, I said no right off the bat because I wanted to go back to my family and go back to the roots and just go back home. And because I never wanted to be in Texas. I want to be like Lloyd Cox in Austin and be just different. I want to be my own person somewhere else. But God evidently didn't want it that way. So he said, well, what would it take to get you there? I said, man, I need to talk to my wife here and bless her heart. After everywhere she went with me, lived in this many houses and whatever, she never griped, never complained, was right by my side. So if I can give any advice to a young trainer, that would be get a companion that will, first of all, that is compatible to God with you in one, that has the same family values of you, and that will have the same goals and work ethic as you. If you have those four things, the sky's the limit. Because when you have a good partner and a good relationship that is going in the same spot, you can accomplish anything. So I think that helped me a lot, knowing that she was right behind me, pushing me and going, everywhere I wanted to go.
Absolutely.
And so I talked to her and she goes, well, I'll go. It's not something we really wanted to go. So we got together and figured out a salary. And so Daryl guided me in a lot of wisdom on how to treat people and how to value myself and not value yourself cheap, because I would always be cheap from where I come from. I wasn't used to money.
It was more than you ever had. So I totally get that.
Yeah. So so he taught me how to do some of that. So I tell you what, let me back up just 1 second. I just had a moment that when I won the fraternity, I won 100, or when I was second at the fraternity, yep. I won $197,738,000. Okay. 197,384 is what it was. And so it was 179 or 109. It was 170, one of them, 179. And so when we did that, so Jenny and I never spent any money. So I went back home and I said, Jenny, would it be okay? I paid off. My mom and dad had a little car and they had a trailer house on our place. So I talked to the banker. I'll try not to get too emotional and get through this story. So I went to the banker and he said, man, we don't usually do this, but I know everybody. I know everything. So we paid their house and that off, and we wrapped it in a Christmas present. And I give it to my daddy, and he opened it and he went, and he just started heaving, crying so bad. And he couldn't even tell mom. She says, what's wrong, Calvin? What's wrong? And I knew what was wrong because we had those stamp paid. Deal. It was a huge deal. So he's sitting there heaving, crying so hard. And he handed those papers over to my mom. It's the first time they ever had a rig or a trailer house. It was a trailer house, but it's the first time they ever had it paid for. You know what I mean? And so that was huge. And Yada Cat did that. And so I'll never forget that. And
what a moment for y'all.
Oh, yeah. It was very
huge.
Special.
So I'll back up before I go back to Gary one more time, because I skipped a couple important parts. So I was at Carthage, Missouri showing one time, and my mom called me and she said, hey, son, you remember that vacation you took that you rode that cutting horse? Yes, ma'am. She goes, there's a guy named Kenneth Gallion. Do you know him? I said, yes, ma'am. He's here at that cutting. So I teased Mr. Kenneth, and at that time he was older when we found out. Right. I said, I rode a bunch of horses in your barn. I don't know what they was. Didn't even know. So that's the horses that I rode.
When you were 14.
And Mr. Kenneth, he said, son, I'm glad I'm the reason, because you're a superstar, blah, 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 blah. You're going to be this. And he said, let me tell you something. He called me over there and he said, let me tell you something about this cutting. You take every dime you get and you put it in land. Don't you be like these guys, and don't you spend all these monies for trucks and trailers. He said, you buy land. And that guy's the reason I bought all the land I could buy. So every time Jenny and I won money, we'd buy land or cattle. We'd never spend any money. We had to make everything count, because I've always been scared of my life, of not having enough or not being able to take care of my family, to provide. And so I want.
Well, you've been providing since you were
13 years old. There's nothing in my life that I've not taken serious. I never went out and partied and never went out. I told my boys when they got out of the house, okay, Mom and I was going to start partying now and going out.
Now we're going to enjoy ourselves.
Enjoy ourselves and do whatever. But I had to.
You don't even know how.
Yeah,
you don't even know how.
And so, through my whole life, I've had to be serious, because it was serious. It was all about surviving and making sure you had the next
making ends meet.
And so I called Gary and I said, okay, I talked to Jenny. I may be skipping around too much. I don't know.
Not at all. So Gary offered you the job, and now y'all have decided to maybe throw an offer.
We talked about it, and I said, it'll take this. I can't pay that. That's ridiculous. That's fine. No, I'll talk to you later. Okay. Hung up the phone on me. Like, well, we're going back to Missouri.
With the rigs north, crew.
Yep.
We're going back to Missouri, and we're going to build that barn. Phone ring back. What was it? Hour or so?
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Somebody, he called back. He goes, hey, when can you be at Texas? I go, I don't know. Well, can you find some plane tickets and be there this weekend? I'll talk to Jenny and see. All right, talk to Jenny and see. So we get on a plane and we fly down there. And, I'd only been to Texas to show, and I'd been out to Matt Gaines. I didn't know a lot of places or know a lot of people. I mean, I got to back up, because in the cutting horse deal, I kind of got accused of being a horse thief. RL.
I have a great story on this too.
And so I kind of got accused of being a horse thief. And RL is one of my best friends, and he's known me forever, right? And he knew my heart, and he knew, but I wasn't growed up to learn the ethics of what to do. So if a person said, hey, do you want to ride my horse? I'd say, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'll ride it.
Because that's business. That's what you did. You rode horses.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't even ask them if they had it with another trainer. So I had to. That's weird.
That's weird.
That's really weird.
RL will call you back.
RL's calling. So anyways.
You didn't know the ethics of.
I didn't know, and from the goodness of my heart, I didn't want to do wrong, but I needed money to survive. And so I didn't know. So I kind of got a bad rep. So I had to work my way out of it. And then I had to teach my boys the right way, because I didn't have nobody teaching me. Nobody was around there teaching me. And so pretty soon I had to learn. Those guys straightened me out real quick. The Scott Brewer and Larry and those guys, like, they ended up like, I didn't know. And so anyways, back to the track. I go to Gary's, and we sign the deal, and I sign another 5-year deal. And we sign a 5-year deal that at the end of 4 years, I knew if it was going to renew it another year, because I was so far away from our ranch.
Absolutely. You needed to make plans.
And so everybody says, well, was you scared at this? Was you scared? I was scared at everything I did. Everything I did, I was scared. I was scared when I made my first trip to Fort Worth. I was scared to death when I worked Yottacat down there in the practice pen with, remember how all those people lined up in there?
Practice pen for the finals.
I was scared to death to work horses. I'd be shaking. I'd be worried about what everybody's saying and thinking up there. And I didn't know. I'd never been around a crowd of people, and never been around, especially as many educated people about cutting as there was. So I just, the old farm redneck.
It is overwhelming at times, especially finals night in that practice pen, the sales going on, everybody rushes in there to watch
pressure.
Everybody that's showing in the finals work their priorities. It's huge.
Bunch of money at stake, you know? And so we come down here and work for Mr. Gary. And I knew after 3 years of being here that if I moved back to Missouri, I was going to be divorced and kidless because everybody loved Texas. My boys and Jennifer, that's where they wanted to be, and me included.
Y'all were home.
Mm-hmm. So I had a hard time giving up what Jenny and I started. It was really hard on my heart because it was so hard to get, And so I listed our place up there with a realtor and Miss Georgia Williamson, and we put a price on it and stuff. And she called me, "Hey, I got an offer on your place." Okay. All right. No, I don't think so, Miss Georgia. Cause in my heart, I couldn't let go of it, cause that was everything we started from, And so it was the roots of everything, And so she called again. And so I finally talked to Jennifer. I said, "Man, I'm going to call her back. I'm just, how you're just not ready to sell something or give something up." And that's the way I was, because we worked so hard on it. So I called her back and I said, "Miss Georgia, listen, I don't know. I don't mean to sound rude, arrogant, or any way this might come across, but just handle it. If it ain't a full price offer, don't call me. I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready mentally here in my heart. I'm just not ready." She goes, "Okay, I understand, Michael. I understand." Phone rings. "Hi, Miss Georgia. How are you?" "Good, Michael. How's your day?" "Good, good." "Hey, I sold the place." "What?" "Sold the place." "Yeah, we got one little problem." I said, "Okay, what's the problem?" She goes, "Well, they want everything on it. They want the tractors, they want the cows, they want the panels, they want everything on it." Oh my goodness. I said, "Miss Georgia, because it was 1,000 acres Jenny and I put together.
You put together a ranch.
We put together a ranch and we spent no money. Everything we did was up there,
Invested in there.
What?
We invested in
everything
in the
we
land.
did. We didn't spend monies on vehicles. Today, I don't know, maybe a lot of people like this. I've never had a new horse trailer. Never. Right. Never bought a new horse trailer because I know that whatever horse trailer I'm pulling down the road, I'm going to make the same amount of mileage. So if I want it to be safe, but I know that I can make more money if something's paid for going down the road, if it's got good tires and axles and it's safe for horses. And I knew from a business aspect that I didn't want that payment. So I've never had a horse trailer, never had a new horse trailer today. And so I called my brother and my dad and I said, "Can you guys go start making inventories on everything and then I'll be up?" So long story short, we sold the ranch and we bought 3 different places down here in Texas.
And this is all about 2011-ish.
It's 2012.
2012.
That's when
because that's when I was down here and met you, and I've got a story to back up to you getting the horse thief name. Is I remember I was working at Anderson's, Rosenbach. Y'all are building that place down the hill, mm-hmm. And I just remember I always come through that back gate to go to work, and I thought, man, look at this barn, and Newt would always have the mm-hmm. colts on that walker, and I thought, man, this is crazy. And I had seen you be very successful, win second and third and all these things. And I thought, man, I'm going to go down the road at Michael Cooper, watch him work horses. And all I could hear, "Hey, watch yourself going down there." And I'll never forget, I pulled in the gate. You probably don't even remember this. And I said, "Hey man, I work up the road. You mind if I watch?"
Yeah.
And you said, "Absolutely." You said, "Actually, get on this turnback horse." And I would sit there for hours and watch you work horses. And then, and you didn't even know I had a horse that I was training that year. And
not finally we started working a lot and started being
and
friends.
Then you helped me with that horse. And then you said, "Hey, you got this horse cutting, have you shown?" And I'm like, "No, not really." And you're like, "Well, here, you're going to show this weekend because you can't enter the futurity and not know." And you gave me a horse. You even let me take him to my house.
Yeah.
And haul him around for a little bit.
Yeah. It's
MKCD high roller.
Yep. That's him. He's still cutting today. Somebody's showing him today.
And that just goes to show you, because I remember the whole horse thief, watch Michael.
Yeah.
And from the first day I met you, I thought, and I feel like I've always been a good people person, for some reason, God gave me a gift I can just tell if you're good, you're bad.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
you never judge a book by its cover, because you changed my life when I got down here. I mean, you gave me a chance, and for somebody that you didn't even know me, and you said, take this horse. Guys, I'm going to stop here and tell y'all a little bit about MJ Balm. MJ Balm has a variety of products, from topical balm to equine poultice, that help you and your horse with pain, anxiety, and focus. These products are made with natural ingredients, so you can feel confident in what you are using on yourself and the amazing equine athletes that we all love. I personally use her products on my horses and have loved the results I've got. So if you haven't checked out MJ Balm, make sure to hit Missy Jean up. She's one of us. She loves her horses, and she loves making this product as cheap and affordable as she can for the people that love that equine athletes as much as she does. So y'all head on over to MJ Balm and check it out.
Well, so many people has done so much in different spots for me. Like, there's several boys on the ranch right now that are there that don't have the best dad figure or whatever, that if I can make enough money over here, okay, at doing something else, I can help them a little more on the ranch, where they can become you know what I mean? And I can help them be the reason they did this. And I want to give back. She's a huge giver, and I want to help them be the reason why they look back at the Joe West Davis, at the Darryl Rodrock, at the Gary, at the Link Clifton, that's helped me so much. Those four guys are huge in my life, have been and still are. And so that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy that
it's your time.
Yeah. That I want to help them so much.
Well, and it is amazing and I want to dig into a little bit about that, like how you have set your mind, because now you are a huge entrepreneur. Y'all have several gas stations and businesses working, other than a huge cutting horse facility, one of the biggest programs going. How do you manage all that? And honestly, what led into busting out and getting into the real estate and to the different businesses?
Well, the land all the way from Missouri, and then 1031 in that land down here. When we 1031 that land down here, people said, why are you buying that land? Bless her heart. There's some cows we had to move and stuff. And she was taking care of her parents, and her daddy was 90 some years old. He could just get in the truck, and she would go over and try to take care of them cows, and we would make this land better. So I started off with land, and then real estate, and selling and buying real estate is what helped us get to the spot we are. It wasn't we owe everything to horses. I want to ride. I asked Lance the other day, I said, Lance, if you can do me a favor, when people tell you I'm too old or I'm not stable enough to get on a horse, you find a way to get me on that horse. I said, if I die on that horse, so be it. I'm telling you right now today, don't listen to anybody. I want to get on that horse. I got that fire, you know what I mean? But I think listening to those stuff about Kobe Bryant, Zig Ziglar, and all the stuff that
was
Mom
instilled when you were...
Yeah, because I think Mom was right. The world's right here by your hand. But if you don't believe it here, you're never going to hold it in this hand. Whether that's a trophy, money, or whatever it is, you got to believe it here. I remember one time in the trailer we were talking, not to say anything about my wife, because this is the only thing I can ever say that she questioned, but I was probably being mouthy somewhere in our bed, laying there in that 14x60 trailer, and I was talking, and she goes, "You're talking like you're Matt Gaines and Austin Shepard." I remember
that.
And it just made me mad. I got up and I hit those lights, and I said, I am and I will be. Don't ever think I'm not. And I said, I will be whoever we need to be. So if you don't believe it here, you're never going to hold it here. And so that to me is, you got to believe it here. Lie to yourself. Lie to yourself. Believe it here. Because if you don't pump yourself up, if you don't wake up in a frame of mind of looking at the funnel, take off the blinders and look at it all, you're never going to go anywhere. You can't be in that mindset where you say right here and just, whoa, poor me, poor me. Poor me never gets anywhere. I could have said that. Like I said, I'm glad I had hard times. I'm glad they put that grit in me, you know?
Absolutely.
You know, you can be
it's a tough world, but if you ain't strong enough mentally to...
I think all these kids are too soft. They're too soft nowadays. I don't like soft. And Jennifer says, Michael, I don't like soft. Get out and get after it. The world's out there. You can do whatever you want. Just have a little work ethic.
Greatest country on earth. And we have so many opportunities. Yeah.
I got the secret to success. I got it all. It's called WORK. Work. Get out there and work. Get out there and get busy. It's all, like Jennifer said, there's no reason not to be
Educated,
dumb, you know, anymore, or uneducated.
I guess
uneducated. AI
and touch of your fingertip.
Chat GPT and all that stuff and whatever, you know. And so I don't know, that real estate is the reason I ventured off, and relationships with Daryl teaching me, relationship with Joe West, relationship with Gary teaching me, and Link now in my life. Link and I we do a lot of business together, you know, and we both try to outgive each other. It's just like a marriage, you know. You need to learn how to outgive each other if you can. And she's teaching me more about that because I'm a workhorse. And if I'm not working, I don't think we're ready. You know what I mean? I still don't think, you know, and the boys are like, Dad, slow up a little bit. And so I do have a problem. I know I have a problem now. And so we're trying to get to that spot, I guess you would say. She's trying to get me to where I'm like, hey, you got to shut it off and stuff. And so she's helping me with that, like she's helped me with everything else. I'm a little out of control, if you will. But I love to work. I was sorting pears off
right before
before I come here, and I was like, I could do this the rest of the day, you know?
Absolutely.
And so I just love to work. I love to work. And so that's my biggest habit, probably.
Well, and you've been doing it so long, and just like talking about our world right now, we live in woke times, and it aggravates me. It scares me to death too for my daughter and stuff. And look at y'all's sons. You know, that's something else that impresses me, because when y'all moved here, they were young, and I remember us for a surprise setting up Lane's roping arena, and everybody going out there and setting it up, and him learning to rope. And now he's arguably one of the best ropers in this part of the world, which says something, because we live in the lion's den of horse trainers, ropers, any equine athlete. If you think you're good, show up to Parker County and you'll see.
Absolutely.
And Lane has totally made his own mark there. But then it's special to see, look at the wife he's got now, and look at what they're doing in real estate. And
power couple.
I mean, they're truly one. Yeah, they're a power couple for sure.
Lane got real mad at me his sophomore year in college. He come home, these guys all had the best horses. Like their dad and moms were buying the best horses. I'll never forget this. He come home and goes, Dad, why aren't you helping me get a better horse? Because he knew I probably could have figured out how to pay for it, right? And he said, Dad, why aren't you? I need better horses. I said, Lane, just be a horseman. Let's buy the right horse and keep doing. You're winning now. You're doing good now. I know, but they got so much more horsepower than I do. I said, figure out a way mentally to beat them. Figure out. Boy, he got mad. He goes, you're just not trying to help me. You're making it so hard on me. I don't understand why you're making it so hard on me. And it hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I knew I was trying to make him tough. I knew that.
Same lesson that Mr. Joe did you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No, you're going to ride this. Actually, Lane did have a good yellow horse. I will say that. His yellow horse is pretty good.
And Driggers, somebody's riding it now.
It's a great horse.
And so he learned to be a good horseman, which helped his roping. And he really, we paid for maybe his rent and some food and stuff like that. And I didn't help him much. We didn't, and it was my fault.
He hustled.
He hustled, and to to go today, the way he's doing the real estate deal and being the
hustles.
top, he's a hustler.
Well, he's a provider.
And so now on the business world, I feel like I've divided my sons in half. And I love working with Lance every day. And I feel like
And what a horse trainer he's become.
I feel like he's helped me be a better horse trainer. And we can talk on that in a minute. But Lane, in the same sense, has helped me in the business world. He's getting so knowledgeable and so much. And Lane and I and Lance had a big family dinner with just us three boys the other day to talk about wealth and portfolio and what to do, because Jenny and I were the first ones in the family to turn everything around. And I don't want their kids not to
experience or keep growing it.
Yeah, keep growing it. I think of the Cogdell family when I think of that.
I love
how
that.
good is those Cogdell families? How good have they raised their families? They're all polite, kind. They all love Jesus. They all work
The
hard.
stewards of the land.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so by watching them at Fort Worth, it just helped me be able to want to be like that, you know? And so anyways, that Lane, he got pretty upset, you know, but he got over it and he got tough, and he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, it truly is a.
Yeah, Lance is definitely like when Lance started helping Michael and like things just started turning around. Like, you know what I mean? Like Michael's been successful, but man,
I'm wired tight and he's not.
Yeah, Lance is very chill.
He's chilled. I've never heard that boy say a bad word about anybody. I've never heard Lance I've never seen him lose it. I've never seen the boy just throw a temper tantrum and get mad or anything. Like, at times I like, how is my own son more mature than I am? You know what I mean? Like, he just so steady.
Yeah,
it's
he's
like
very wise. He's a very
30, 40 years old. He's just humble
Steady.
And easy and so I feel like that, you know.
Well, and appreciative. I will throw that out there that both of your boys, I think, truly understand where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a difference to me.
Yeah. And so I feel like he's helped me be more laid back in my training, you know, because Lance and I, we had about 2 years that was tough. Lance and I did, that we were butting heads because he totally wanted to go Lloyd Cox, Austin Shepherd way. Drive up on a cow, let them do the cow and do that. Well, I can't do that. It's not my way. You know what I mean? And so he was training some horses and I had to let him fail. You know what I mean? Not saying nothing about Austin and Lloyd because they're they're the goats, right? They're the best, right?
But that wasn't Lance.
But they could do that. And Lance was trying to do it and he was falling on his face and we were getting bad horses. I remember calling Gary Rosenbach, Uncle Gary, you know, and said, Gary, he's running your horse that we got here in training. He's running it. He goes, that's okay. We got to learn. You know, Gary's one of those guys that is the Joe West for me. He was there for Lance doing that. And so now that horse is in the pasture, you know, but he had to go through that. And so Lance and I, he's taken the Lloyd and Austin and taken me, and he's trying to find his way where it's done that. And then in the sense, I feel like it's made me a better horse trainer because I've drifted over to Lance's way of driving up like Austin and Lloyd, and Lance is getting the feet and the control back on him like me. And so I feel like it's a very good
combination.
Yeah,
like it's a very good combination.
I mean, the record's kind of showing that.
Yeah, it's been good together and it's been fun. It's really been fun the last year or two. It's really been fun. And now he's doing the bulk of it. And I do what I need to do or want to do. And that's kind of the goals of life that we want to go to. The goals of life was I was going to go to the mountains and do the Jeep deal with Miss Jenny, but now she's showing and
now y'all are on the road, which how has that been, Miss Jenny, now that you've raised the family?
Yeah.
Help set the career.
Set for 10 years. Didn't show for 10 years. It was all about the boys.
Well, so early on in our marriage, you know, what horses I did get to show at that time were like project horses, you know, and Michael told me at that time, you know, don't get attached.
Do not.
Don't get attached to him. This is a business. we would go to Carthage or wherever, Columbia, show them a couple times, get through some runs, and then somebody would be interested. And I mean, I would maybe get to show a horse maybe 3 times in a row, maybe,
I'd sell that sucker
and
I'd sell it. And a lot of people condemn me because Lance would train a good horse up, and Lance would get to show it once, maybe once.
Yep, at the futurity, and
once
sell it.
at the futurity, and we'd sell it but that's why we have a ranch that's paid for, and that's why I told Lance, I said, that's why you don't have as much earnings as some of those guys, because your dad didn't do that. Your dad paid for everything here. But now that you're old enough, you're going to have plenty of earnings. You already,
You're fine.
Or in the Hall of Fame or whatever already. And so, but you have a ranch and you don't have to worry about it. We got a ranch that's paid for. So there's a lot to be said both ways.
You got an office.
Yeah. You got an office.
So the project horses were like the beginning for me. And then when we lived in Kansas and Mr. Darrell was selling everything, Michael purchased Sir Stylist Lizzie for me.
I took the amount out on the severance, some of the severance that he owed me for that. I traded that horse. That horse was still one of the most special horses. Oh yeah. In my life.
And so at that time in my life, first of all, that was the best horse ever I could ever own, but I didn't have any confidence. I wasn't that person yet. Like, it wasn't really my time yet. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like, I just, I don't know how to explain it. It was like, I was worried about I was worried about truck payments and like
the boys in school,
just things like, if I would not get through the first go around, I was like Michael always said, I would be riding on scared money, because
can't show on scared money.
Like, I would.
Scared money never wins.
Oh, and then I'd have to go write the check, and then I was like stressing myself out, because I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, it's too much money.
She did.
Like, this is not fun for me.
Selling.
Like, I can't do this. Yeah. And because when I would think I could be paying for this, and this, rather than, it wasn't something.
It didn't make sense to you.
It didn't. And then,
because the dollar was worth a lot to you.
Oh yeah. And so I was always when Caitlin purchased him, I was like,
what's her name? Larson.
And she she was hauling for the world, and he was one of her horses to do that with. And I was so envious of her, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, she's doing what I dreamed of, but it just, I knew she knew.
That was your horse.
Yeah. And it just wasn't, it didn't fit in my life right then.
And Jenny was scared to show him. And that's where we need to go back to any young guy showing is, don't be scared of that. You can't, Galen Wells taught me this a long time ago. You cannot show on scared money. And so I feel like that's a part of our showmanship in young trainers that have horses in the barn and they're scared of this and scared of not doing good. And I think that's probably helped me with my success now, is not being scared. And so it is true. It can be on the backside of your mental, state that, where's that money come from? Or, man, if I don't do good enough, this customer's going to go somewhere. So there's a lot to that. You got to learn how to block that out mentally somehow. You got to find your bubble and get in it when it's time,
But yeah, so then, then we sold him to Caitlin. And then at that time, I had the boys, and then I was a pretty big caretaker of my parents, and they depended on me a lot. So I had, 5 people. You
were getting pulled from.
She was. And I really kind of stepped away from the barn scene, and my responsibilities were my parents and my kids and all that. And I will never forget, we were at Tulsa, and Jackie Davison was there. I will never forget this. And she was walking down by the stalls, and she had like a tank top on or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, her arms are amazing. Like, I want that. Like, what's that? And so she introduced me to CrossFit, like, well, I go to a CrossFit. And I was like, what's CrossFit? And so when I left Tulsa that week or that show, I was on a mission. I was gonna start working out. I was gonna find a CrossFit box.
She did.
And I wasn't an athlete in school. I wasn't like anybody, but for some reason that just did something. And I found a CrossFit box here in Weatherford, and I got in there that day. And I went in and met the trainers. It was a husband and wife, Bo and Nancy. And it like, again, intimidated me so much. I was like, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, what was I thinking? So I asked Miss Nancy, I said, well, how about I just hire you for a personal trainer? I'll be good with that. That's what we'll do. She's like, okay. So, 3 days a week or so, I'd go in the mornings at 6 o'clock, and all these women were all over here doing the CrossFit stuff, like pull-ups and box jumps and, all the things, lifting. And here I was over here with my little dumbbells, working out, jazzercise, whatever. And I did that for about
jazzercise. That's funny.
Did that about 3 months or so, and Miss Nancy was like, okay, so Monday you're going to come, you're officially kicked out. Like, you're going to come to the CrossFit class. And so I was like, are you sure? She's like, yep, it's time. So that started my journey there with that, because I went 6 days a week, every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning for 13 years. Like, I never missed a day, And that CrossFit class introduced me to running, like road running. I thought, I'm gonna be a marathon runner, And I started training to start running, and I went to Vegas, and that was my very first half marathon. Went out there by myself. I was supposed to go with a group of ladies, and they ended up not being able to go due to a health issue or something. And I told Michael, I was like, well, I had been training. I took it very serious, And he goes, you're going to go.
You're not.
Like, you're going to go.
You've signed up. You've done all the work. You get out there. I'll take care of the boys. I'll watch your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Whatever we got to do.
So I jumped on an airplane.
Out there.
Flew to Vegas. And
it was awesome.
Ran my first half marathon down the strip. Yeah. Rock and roll. The rock and roll half down there. Didn't know anybody, And so then the running got more and more. And then, I was doing things in CrossFit that I just never thought I could ever do. I was doing.
Basically, this really boosted your self-confidence.
You'll hear your negatives about CrossFit because of just like injuries and stuff. CrossFit changed my life. Like, it truly did, because for one thing, I had two CrossFit coaches that would never let me do something that I wasn't ready for, but it challenged me, and it showed me that I could go in,
beat those challenges. I
could do it. And then that got introduced to Spartan races, and I got really into all these Spartan races. And if you know what
that's where, like, you go through the mud and jump over the
and I had met a group of friends that weren't horse people, like didn't know come here from Sikkim like a horse, but like we would load up over a weekend and we'd go to all these races and we'd race all weekend and we'd run and we would train during the week and we would do all that, and I was good at it. Like, it was something I was good at. And it just, this confidence kept coming and coming and coming. And then like people would come to our CrossFit box and they thought I was cool. Like, you know what I mean? They thought, well, we want arms like Jenny. Like, I wanted arms like Jackie, like, well, how do we get those? And I'm like, well, this is what you got to do. You got to eat this and drink this and work out like this, And so then I started cycling and doing 100 milers. And so I got to do these things that, like
Seemed impossible, really.
Well, so for me, it was kind of cool. I wasn't Michael Cooper's wife. Like I was Jenny. Like I kind of.
They didn't know who Michael Cooper was.
Yeah.
But I kind of.
No,
Right? I mean,
But I kind of found my thing. Like, and
Absolutely.
honestly, at the time, like my parents, it was a lot. I mean, a caregiver is a lot of work, and when you have two elderly parents with issues that need addressed every day, like it was also like my therapy. Like I could throw some weight around and sweat and. And that was like my hour of just me time. You know what I mean? You have teenage boys that are being teenage boys, you know what I mean? And you got, a business that, the stresses of all that. So I got to really like just find myself with that, So I think that has helped me because since then I've had 2 knee replacements, which doesn't really have anything to do with CrossFit, but like just wear and tear, if you will. And so I still work out, just not to that level anymore. But when I got introduced back to the horse scene,
The competition wasn't that big a deal.
well, it was like,
almost
this
craved
is
it.
what I've been training for the last 13 years. Like, like the mental game, I got it. The treat it like it's just like another day. Like I got it. And so like I treat don't get me wrong, like I get disappointed if a run doesn't go well, or like the other day with Bella, like, I ran her off basically, but
You just put it down too early.
but it was just like, it's a rep for me. It's like to be a better lifter, it was the technique and it was the repetition and you had to, there's a proper way to lift weights and there's not a proper way. And if you don't do it the right way. So like I treat what I went through those years and learned from my coaches and from my fellow athletes that like, okay, showing horses is just like going to the gym.
The same thing.
It's the same thing,
Well, I think that so all our wives are behind the scenes, right? They work and they do everything that we need to do to succeed. And when she started back showing now, I'm like, why don't you know that? Like, do that. Like, what? I don't understand. Well, she just hadn't done it. She's been behind the scene and then set for 10 years and done this and been back there. And, she hasn't had the time. And those guys that are helping her right now, Cass and Kara and Jose and all the people that are helping her right now are teaching her. So it's almost like fun that she's now, because she comes home, she's talking to me about it. And
Learn
she's
a
like,
new thing.
yeah, and people that are saying different things. And so it's a fun part in her life to it's accomplishment because she's learning so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're learning a lot about something and you're in it, and she's not worried about every single dime. And so she's enjoying it and I'm enjoying it watching her. And so it's a fun time for her and I both right now.
Really the whole family.
For the whole
It
family.
is. And it's like, I did some really cool things on the CrossFit side and the Spartan side. Like I accomplished some goals. Like I was told that one particular race in Killington, Vermont, that, well, most people don't make it their first year. Like there's people that go years upon years and
Don't make it to the finish line.
because there's a time cap and you have to make the time cap. And I was like, okay, and I remember going and it was the hardest race or hardest thing by far I've ever done, and physically like exhausting, mentally exhausting, all the things. And I did it. I did it my very first time there. And so, I've checked some boxes, if you will. And so now like my parents are deceased. My boys are grown. So now I'm like Michael's, and I'm a person that like, I'm a very goal oriented person. I need a purpose. Like I was my parents' caretaker. That was my purpose. I was the mom. That was my purpose. And so like when my parents passed away, I felt very lost because like, what do I do now? Like they took up a lot of my days because I would cook, I would clean, I did personal care for them. So like I got a little like without my purpose. So when Michael was like, hey, what about showing again? You know, I was like, oh, and so we, this string of horses is the longest I've ever owned.
You got to keep it.
I mean, it's by far like when Bella come into our lives.
Well,
I mean, I was like, I really didn't think she'd be around. I thought, okay, somebody's going to come around and
Bella was supposed to be all her horse, but
yeah. So
kind of hogged that.
But
mare.
to answer your
she's just
question-
now
Pretty
starting-
good mare.
to answer your question, it's a really fun journey for me right now. Like I'm 50 years old, and I feel like I'm like just starting this, and he's kind of backing away from it some, not, and I'm like, let's go, let's go. I'm
out.
like,
We gotta go to
I'm
Blue
like
Ridge.
on the way here
I think
today.
I really messed up giving her the idea to show a horse again because that wasn't our original plan, and now I'm wanting to slow down and work just the horses I want to work. And this girl, she's ready to go. If
She's
she's
like,
got a
"Come
goal,
out."
she's ready to go.
And it's just like everybody, like he said, Cass, Kara, Casey, you know, Jose. Like I've had so many people that have been so great to help, because he hasn't, like, he's been home working horses, and him and Lance and stuff. And so I feel like I'm like babysitted at every weekend show there is. But everybody's so good, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm learning so much. Like I was talking to Austin Shepherd a few weeks ago, and you know he brought it to my attention that, you know, Michael's always said that everybody needs to haul. Like it makes you
Beneficial.
better. It's good. I mean, you know, you hauled. Like, you know, everybody needs to haul. And I was like, okay. Well, Austin, when we were talking a few weeks ago, he was like, you know, hauling is like the best showmanship class you can ever take.
Yep. That's
You
true.
know, like, and I believe that because I just can't explain, like,
You're getting so many reps. You're
like
getting
it's
so
like
many
the rep
reps.
thing for me. Like, you know, like I've been driving back and forth to Blue Ridge this last few days. I'm going to show at Bosque tomorrow. And it's like, you know, what I did today, I can work on tomorrow. Like, you know, I can make that technique better. You know, whatever.
Absolutely.
And so it's really cool. And to be, the confidence is there now that was not there years ago. And I think that, you know, like Michael said, I think the mental thing is a huge thing. Like you have to believe like you can do it. You know, you can't go down there and not thinking, you know, and when you got 4 guys, like for instance, you know, yelling at you or guiding you and everybody,
chaos.
I mean, you gotta like stay in your bubble, you know? And so, but I'm really enjoying it. Like it's something, and I'm very thankful for, the horsepower I have, because they're all individuals, and it's teaching me a lot. So
Something that maybe we don't talk about on this show very much or have the opportunity, but what would, being from the mom and wife perspective, what would you tell maybe the young trainer's wife that's getting into this business right now? Maybe they just married into a trainer, and what advice would you give them?
Well, I remember being the young wife. You know, I remember being at Will Rogers and, you know, watching my young trainer husband miss the finals by a half a point or lose a cow or whatever, and wonder, when is it going to be his turn? When I seen like other trainers just consistently be in the finals, other trainers' wives getting, you know, multiple circles in because they have so many finals horses to get ready, you know? And I I remember going and like going back to the hotel and just being like bawling, like, here we are again, you know? So I would think just to know, like, and we are like wives, we're their rock. Like, we get the blunt, like, especially if we're getting the horses ready, like we got to get the horses ready, but then we also got to make sure emotionally they're ready, you know? And then say the run doesn't go well, like, don't take everything personally because, you know, because that's the thing, like, we're the wife, but we're also the laborer, like, you know? And so it's a hard, like, we wear a lot of hats being a trainer's wife, you know? We're the bookkeepers, we're the vet techs, we're the lopers, you know, we're
Got to put dinner on the table.
go in and be the sexy wife, you know what I mean? After you've loped 30 horses that day and, you know, your rear's got blisters on it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so there's so many things that, you know, just, I would say not to take things like personal and just to give them their you know, their time. Cause again, like, and that comes with age and that comes with wisdom and that comes with 31 years of marriage too, because.
And we prayed a lot, Jenny.
We
would
did
pray and we would pray and we did pray.
But
we stayed praying.
We did. And it was like, it was a faith thing. It was a faith thing. But I think too, like, we are their rocks and we just have to know that like we hold a lot of the emotions and we have to keep it all together for them.
And it's hard to be strong in y'all's shoes whenever we're not.
Oh yeah.
Because there's times that we all get knocked off the horse and we're like down in the dumps and who you come home to matters.
Right. Exactly. So, but I also think, you know, it is a very like that, make sure that relationship is strong because it is wearing on a husband and wife team.
But let me say one thing that I think is really tough because you want to say, you know, what really matters is, you know, God and your family and what is the important stuff, right? But it's also, it's so important that you get shown, you get doing that because if you don't do that, you may not have enough money or you may get fired or you might lose that horse. So it's all tough. Like all that's tough. And I'd like to say that it doesn't matter to me as much now about getting a horse showed because I'll be okay. And I remember that God's first and I remember my family's okay. Everybody's safe. But the competitive stuff matters to me. But in the old days, if I didn't get that horse showed, I was scared. I was scared that I might lose the customer.
Food off of your table.
Yeah, or something happened. So I guess it all matters. You know what I mean? It all matters. And so I just want to bring that point that there's a lot of oxymorons right there that you go through thinking about, like all this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff goes on in your head, especially a guy trying to provide for their family. You know what I mean?
Well, and that was my next question is what advice do you have for a young trainer that, because that is something that guys don't think about as much, you know, because y'all do wear a lot of hats and y'all do take a lot of the blunt, you know, end of things. How have you managed? Because to me, y'all have been seriously you couldn't draw y'all up as a better figure for us to look up to as far as me and my wife, seeing y'all at church, sitting behind y'all at church and seeing y'all's consistency and even the times when you weren't winning, because I feel like I've known you in the highs, lows. You've always, yes, I understand a sore loser. Show me a sore loser. You are a sore loser, but.
Well, there's several different sayings that I was taught is to never show your emotions. kind of like Matt Gaines, somebody said the other day, you never know really what he's thinking, you know, because if he's not doing good, you're not going to know it on the outside as much, you know what I mean? But he's burning in the inside, you know what I mean? And so I think that through that, you know, on the trainer's side, you know, I think you better have God first. The very most thing is you better know God or be able to talk to him or pray about it, because without that peace, you're never going to go anywhere. I don't feel like you got to have him first in your life. And then if you have him really first in your life, seriously first in your life, you pray about it, you think about it, you know, and then you're in one accord. Like I was talking about earlier, if you find a mate that you can bind together, okay, and then you get the goals, then you got everything. But that's a lot of spots that you got to put together. But a young trainer better work on that part there. And that's what I remember telling Jesse Lennox one time, you better get your stuff together. You better get it together. And Jesse will tell you this today, that you better quit running around and get your life in order. That's not going to get you where do you want to go. Look at Phil Rapp. Look at Paul Hansma. Look at all these guys that are successful. What do they have behind them? They have good faith and a good marriage and a good family. You better get that. In that talk, he said that sitting in the cow box at Will Rogers turned his whole thing around, which Jesse and I have a long relationship together of him coming over, working with me all the time. But on that realm of it, I think there's a couple spots for a young trainer to think about. And those things are, don't let your overhead get more than your income. Okay? Simple rule that a guy told me. And when you start making more money, don't live like you're making more money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Don't live. We're working for the people.
Don't live outside your means.
Don't live outside your means. It's real simple. And we work for a lot of people that have a lot of money, okay? But don't change your way of living. You're working for them. You don't own all these horses and can spend all these entry fees. So don't be acting like it. Don't go out here, and if you do, don't change anything. Like I said, Jenny and I never spent any money till about 5 years ago. Like we've been tight our whole time. A guy said one time, if I can quote this right, he said, if you live early, you're going to have to work later. But if you work harder earlier, then you can live later. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to go by. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the rule of thing. All those little things for a young trainer is, I think, the key to success, and about working hard and listening. That's why God gave us 2 ears and one mouth, is sit there and listen and really, I think, be true to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. I'm hard on myself. I won the Super Stakes and I was third at the Super Stakes in the 5 and 6 year old, but I'm still upset about those other two horses that I didn't get in, that I messed up on, especially one of them that's still eating at me today. It's not about what you did, it's about what you didn't get done. And so to me, be true to yourself. Call it like it is. Call it like it is. You don't ever hear me hardly ever gripe about the judging. And then I'll go look and see if there's a reason why or something's wrong. But be true to yourself. Call it like it is.
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. That is just a few things I go by. And there's a few rules in my house that we went by for a while, you know?
Black and white.
Black and white.
Call it like it is.
Yep. Black and white.
That's good right there.
I mean, it's just true. Just be true to yourself. You know, you know what's right and wrong. You know what's good and bad. You should, because nobody lies to anybody. All the information's out there anymore, you know? So, I mean, all the internet and all, I mean, these young trainers have so much, they have so much more than we ever had, you know, with the internet and everything that's going on.
I gotta grab water.
Go for it. Can I go pee while you're doing that?
Absolutely.
Where's it at? You are choked up.
Oh, I got choked for a second. Yeah, I'm good. Woo. Oh, that was bad.
You okay?
Yeah, something got my throat. Man, that was amazing. It truly is amazing.
It
Love
is
story.
pretty cool. Pretty
What are
cool.
you showing tomorrow?
Where or when?
No, what horse?
Oh, hey, Stevie. I showed him at Bosque, and then I'm going to show him, or I showed him at Blue Ridge. I'm going to show him these 2 days at Bosque, and then he'll have a few days off after that.
He'll get a break.
Yeah.
So where do you go after that?
I guess I'm going to do Sulphur. I've never done Sulphur Springs, so I guess I'm going to try the Sulphur Springs scene. And then,
I never did it.
yeah.
I never showed there once.
Yeah.
Sulphur.
This is supposed to be at the ranch, and they said the ranch is better than the other place. So, yeah, so we'll see.
Never showed there either, but they say it's better.
That's what I said. But yeah. You're doing a good job, honey.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's okay?
It's unbelievable.
I think
I didn't have no lunch.
I'm excited about the trainers' wives, though. I think that's going to be good.
I agree.
Because, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think.
Well, it's a side that not many people. Well, it's just like you said, y'all wear so many hats, and the normal. I'm just gonna throw this out there. The normal everyday wife in town has no idea.
No. Well, and two, I think as trainers' wives, I mean, although we're a team, like Michael and Jenny, Cooper Bar Ranch, Michael Cooper Cutting Horses, what I see, and this is just my opinion, the wives, we sacrifice a lot to build these guys up. You know, we might put our dreams on hold. We might, it's a little bit, we want the success and we want to build our business, but and I know we're a team. I don't know if that sounds, I don't know if I'm making that make sense, but it's like, I see a lot of wives that just, what I want them to have success too. Like Cheyenne, like she got to show,
Yeah, so
that was
just
so
learning all
awesome. Cody Green got to show, she's getting to show. Like there's so many wives that I see do so many circles, and I've been real fortunate to do those circles earlier on, and then I got to take a break, as far as like the physical. We have assistants now that do more of that than I do, but it's like these wives work so hard.
It's amazing.
So hard, I mean, the hours and the care and I don't know. I've just always been a huge advocate for trainers' wives.
Absolutely.
And
well,
I don't know.
if you don't have a great wife as a trainer, probably not going to make it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, there's not many of them. I mean,
I agree.
we put so much, I would say, on y'all.
Yeah.
We rely on y'all
Better
on
be
everything.
tough.
And then you throw kids in on top of it, trying
Especially
to.
two Cooper boys.
Well, yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah. But no, as far as our boys, like I think I'm just
We're
so
so
thankful,
blessed.
and we're so blessed. And if you think about success to me, like I think, yes, our story is cool. And I think we have done an exceptional job, getting from one spot in our life to this spot, but to see our boys be an extension of that is even
and now that they're
cooler.
starting families and how
and true success to me with a family is when they want to come to the house and just be with you. Like Lane and Paige, Lance, he spends all day with me anyways, but Lane will call up, hey, what are you guys doing? Just here at the house. Hey, we're coming over. We want to come over. We haven't seen you. And they'll just come over. We'll have movie nights, and we just spend time together. And so that's,
when your adult children want to come spend time with you, that's a pretty cool feeling.
That's good.
When they can go to Gators or go, wherever they want to come hang out with mom and dad, so yeah. So that, I think that is a huge thing for us that they just get to extend that what he has started and what we've been able to do. And
so what are the next steps? What does the future look like for Michael and Jenny Cooper?
Well, Lance and I are working on that right now. He's taken over more and more and more. And then Lane's at all the meetings that I have a lot of stuff going on outside the
Yes, absolutely.
cutting horse deal. And so that to me is being a big, how Jenny said she was learning a lot and being challenged and stuff like that. Like that to me, I'm learning so much in the commercial world, in the real estate world, and being able to build all these businesses. And I think a successful team, you're only as good as the people you hire under you. So I always want to overhire. And so the team that I have now in the corporate world and the ranch world, I want to overhire. I want to hire better than I need, where they can do what they need to do, and we can all work together to be a team. And I feel like that's what we have in the car wash world and in the gas station, the Sonics, and all the stuff. You know what I mean? I feel like we have good people behind us, and I feel like that has and like Link being everybody has mentors, like we were talking about. And he's been a big mentor in the business world for me. And like we said, if it hadn't been for real estate, I wouldn't be able to do the stuff and the adventures that I'm doing now. And don't get me wrong, it's scary as heck. The first gas station I built, she freaked out.
Yeah, I would like to sit here and say I was the supportive wife and said, "Oh, you bet, honey, let's go build the gas station." And well, actually, at first it was the car wash, and he's like, "Babe, we need to go to a car wash convention." And I was like, "A what? Like a car wash convention?"
Actually, it kind of freaked her out, honestly.
And I would love to sit here and say I was like, but I was
Did
like,
it freak you out because it was
like,
so unknown?
I said, we know nothing.
Well,
like, what do we know about a car wash?
I said, I didn't know nothing about cutting horses.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. And here we are. So I knew that it's hard to retire when you're a horse trainer. It's really hard. Let's just call it the way it is. It's really hard. And I've been scared all my life of not having enough. And I want to build something for my family. And I don't want to be scared when I'm 60, 70 years old. And it's getting closer and closer. And I didn't think it was going to be this close. And so the more risk, the more reward. And I took some risk and they worked out. And it could have went the other way. But having good people, Gary, Link, those people, those partners behind you, Jimmy, Don, and Marcos in the car wash and stuff like that. It's those spots and those risks that worked out. You know what I mean? And no matter if it's buying a place, I'm talking to two young trainers right now that are buying their places and they're scared to death, but they made the leap. They just bought their first place, And I've helped two trainers get there right now. Like in the last 3 months, they bought two different trainers. And so I said, look, it's okay. I was scared to death. There's spots I'm still scared, you know? No matter how much money you have, it's still scared in different spots. There's always, it's just a different number. That's all it is. And I've learned that money is just a tool. You just have to use it. It's a tool. If you don't have enough here, you can't do that job. So just back up and do the job that you can until you got enough tools to get to the big job. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned a lot about how to use and how to move and how to do all that stuff through mentors, just like trainers, just like Matt Gaines and Roger Wagner and the people I learned to train from. You know what I mean? So it's all scary. You just got to make the first step. It's all scary. You just got to make the first step. If you make the first step, especially being young, if it goes bad, you got time. I'm speaking to one of the boys. We just built a feedlot there on the deal, and I want to help him. And he's scared in a lot of spots, you know, because it's a lot of money and there's a lot of unknown. But I said, you got to make the first step. We got to try it. You know what I mean? And so it's okay. Everybody has been scared.
Well, it's like our first step was when Daryl calls us in Missouri and says, I want you to come to Kansas. I mean, that was...
We left everybody.
I mean, that was the first step for us.
And then Weatherford.
Yeah.
And so the good Lord has put us in those spots. But if you don't try...
If you're scared to take it.
I didn't know why God sent me to Kansas. And then he sent me to Texas. And I didn't know. I mean, I remember one time talking about a God thing. I'd won a fair mint. Sorry, I'm taking so long here and we're talking so much. But so I remember that I was being a little cocky. I was like, I'd won in Texas and I'd done this and done that. And I was going to go down there to Ash Flat, Arkansas, and I was just going to kick their butts. You know what happened? I went down there and didn't get a freaking check on one horse. And God said, you know what, little ding-dong idiot, little arrogant boy, you know? He said, the reason you're doing so good is because I need you to help your mom and dad right now. They need help. It's not all about you. I need you to help others. So quit making it about yourself. Quit, you little spoilt brat. You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, just don't. I'm blessing you because I need you to help others. And that's where she's so good at this. Like, she'll say, hey, we need to send so-and-so a check, or we need to do this, or we need to help this person. This person needs this, you know what I mean? And so if you want to know the truth, probably she's the reason that our family's so blessed, is she's always given. She's given. And so I think you got to stay in line. Stay in line. Say your prayers. You know, be in tune. Open that Bible. You know what I mean? And I still have to make myself slow down enough to do that because I don't like to read. And Lane, my stinking son, challenged me, Dad, you read the Bible all the way through? Man, I know a lot of the Bible. My grandpa preached it, and my mom, I was in church Sunday night, and Wednesday night, and I haven't read the Bible all the way through. Guess what I'm doing right now?
Reading it all the way through.
Yeah, I'm listening to it all the way through. You know what I mean? And so he said, I got a challenge for you. I want you to do that. Let's do it together. Okay. We went to dinner last night. He goes, what chapter are you on? I told him. He goes, I'm a little bit ahead of you. Missed a couple days. You know, but that's what we do. We try to make each person better. We keep challenging each other.
That's pretty neat that you get to do that with your boys now.
And it's pretty neat. Like, him and his wife go to Bible study. And I told Jennifer, I said, man, they're just such a power couple about doing that, and how many people they've brought to, you know, to know God and change their lives. And even looking back at your kids, sometimes you're like, wow, you know, your kids can teach you sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what you want to do. You want to be their parent, not their friend when you're growing up and you're being the parent. So just remember that. Don't ever be their friend. You be their parent, and then you can be their friend later. And that's what I did with both of our boys. I feel like we did. You know, we parented them, and then, you know,
now y'all are friends.
Now we're friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I want to grow up, and we're young enough that we can be there. One time we were working horses at the ranch at Rose Valley, and Lance youth kid. He's probably 14 or 15 probably. And he had smarted off and was just, I mean, getting ready to go to a show the next day. And I forget, threw a fit or something. I got mad. And I said, I tell you what, I got something for you. Once you go to the house and you get that pick, and there was a bunch of thistles out there. And it was in the summer, it was 100 and some degrees. And so I said, you go out there and you start digging all them thistles up by hand with that pick. And I'll be home later and we'll talk about this. You're not going to the show tomorrow either. And Jennifer calls me. She goes, Michael, what's going on? And I said, he did this and he acted like this. She goes, well, that's fine. But Michael, it's 100 and some. I said, I don't care. You leave him alone. You take him a jug of water if you want to. You leave him alone. You know what I mean? Until he figures out he can't talk or treat somebody. This is a luxury. This is a gift that he's able to go cut, the next day and whatever. And he's not going to go cut either. I got to teach him a lesson. No matter how bad it hurts you inside being a parent sometime, you got to parent, you know what I mean? And I think my grandfather, being a World War II vet, he taught me that. Like he taught me all about strict living, you know what I mean? And so that was a big thing in parenting our boys and teaching them how to grow up. And another thing, like I feel like that, getting off pace probably, but I feel like our new generation of parents aren't even teaching the kids how to do a checkbook ledger. And that really gets to me, because you run that checkbook ledger and you know exactly what's in there. You do it by the bank. You don't know who's cashed the check yet. You don't know who's went through yet. And it might not be back to that zero balance or have the money in there you think it is. And so I think that's where we need to get back to the base of teaching those kids a real checkbook ledger and how to balance a checkbook. And then things will be better in the whole world.
I think that goes along with a young trainer, advice to a young trainer is know your business. Like it's not just training horses. I mean, it's a business, and you have to know how to run a business.
Go ahead and get 5 DoorDashes a day. How about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That DoorDash really easy to push that in. And I spoil my girls.
Mine too.
And they work hard. And I don't take anything away from that. But when you're a young trainer, you might need to pay attention to all that. I'm just bringing DoorDash up because
no chicken salad chick. I get aggravated when they DoorDash that chicken salad chick.
But for real though, like I mean, know the business. Like know how much those shavings are. Know what.
Can't have more going out than we got coming
absolutely.
And that guy was right when he told me that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He was right. Know what you're worth. Don't undercharge just to ride a horse because you want to ride a horse and show a horse. Know if you're really making money or you're not. Do a P&L sheet, do a spreadsheet, and figure out what you're making. I didn't know what a spreadsheet is. We had to build one. We had to know what the grain's costing, the hay's costing, how much is our labor costing. Know what you're really doing. It's hard enough to call horse training a business, to being real raw, okay? It's hard to know that, because a business you can sell 10 times, 5 times EBITDA, but you can't sell a horse training business. If you do, you're selling Michael and Kody. Are we going with the business or not? You know what I mean? So really, we got a really, really good paying job that we're working for other people. And you need to not forget that. And young trainers are to start a Roth, you know what I mean? And they are to start and live by it, be something else that helps them. All these young guys, if they ever listen to this or anything, they are to do that. It's one good thing that they are to do, you know what I mean? So, and I think that our payouts are changing enormously. I would love to have them payouts when we were there, and they're changing so much that
it's life-changing money now.
It's life-changing money, and you can make a lot of money doing it. And there's such great horses, and everything's getting better and better as it goes. So, I would love to see some retirement fund start somehow, and I don't know how, but I'd love to see them horse trainers start a retirement fund somehow,
Right. Man, that's huge.
Yeah.
So I got one question. What's one saying or quote, because I feel like you're going to be great at this, that you would leave anybody with, that you could tell anybody?
Probably a couple. number one rule that I think that will get you a long ways, because I think relationships is where it's all at. No matter where it's at, relationships is residual return on business if you have a good relationship. So treat others how you want to be treated is a very simple rule. If you ask my boys today, think about how you would want to be treated and how you would answer that question and what you would do in that circumstance. And probably the second one is, if you want what others have, you have to be willing to do what others don't do. Think about that. If you want what others have, you have to be willing to do what others won't do. Get up earlier, stay later, grind, call,
Clean
study,
the stalls.
Clean stalls, pick horses' feet out, wash the horses. I tell you something one time, just on that note right there, that one saying right there, I had a young trainer over at Rose Valley one time. This really hurt my feelings. And I was helping him, and I said, man, you need to do this. You need to do that. And let's try for this, and he said, it's real easy for you to say when you got a great facility to work out and you got all these great horses. And I looked at him and I was like, you don't know me. You don't know where I come from, or you don't know anything. And I said, you truly offended me after all the help I give you. And you say that, you might need to know where I come from and how I had to get here. Because if you know what my wife did and what I did to survive and to get here, I said, you just offended me. And I said, I took that very personal, what you just said. And because he thought I didn't own that ranch.
You were just handed.
He thought that was just that job and everything was just handed to me. We worked our asses off, my wife including, to get where we are at today. And I don't regret any of it.
Absolutely.
But you better put your head down and be able to work. And
it wasn't like, being married in this deal is it's tough, and I would like to add, with all the successes and failures, it's like a roller coaster ride. Like we're celebrating 1 minute and, we're pinching pennies the next minute, and so it's a hard.
Marriage is hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
Marriage is a job.
Yeah.
And so
then
is
you
life.
throw this business in it, where emotions are high sometimes and, stress, and add that to the pot,
Then I just say, be humble and do what's right.
Yeah.
Be humble and do what's right, and it'll all come around. And
I like to add, don't ever, and this is something that I truly believe is, don't ever forget the people that helped you get where you're at, and don't ever forget where you started from.
I totally agree with that.
Because I although Texas is home and I love I will never forget that 360 acres farm, or
that trailer house,
the trailer house, or
that little pole barn.
Those people, in Summersville, was good to us. It was good to us.
Good people, good
people.
You make a phone call, you could have 10 people there helping you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just good country redneck folks like I like.
Yeah. So I truly believe no matter how successful a person gets, or how wealthy or whatever, don't ever forget where you come from.
And let me tell you something, she'll remind those two boys of that too.
I have no problem.
First time she ever met her daughter-in-law, my daughter-in-law, which we both love today, which is, if she wants anything, I'll give it to her. Lane's a sophomore in high school, awkwardy, kind of cocky, whatever. Comes in, opens that door real quick. Hey, Mom and Dad, this is Paige. He's dating her, She said her exact words, I'll meet Paige when you were taught like you were supposed to. You walk out that door, open that door for a gentleman and let her walk in
before him.
And I was like, whoa. We were both sitting on the couch. I was like, how's this going to go?
And then come in Princess Paige.
Yeah, and Princess Paige. That's right.
Yeah.
Because she does no wrong in my eyes. That's for sure.
Well, they've been such a blessing, like us going to church with y'all. I love seeing them come in because they bring somebody new all the time.
Oh.
They do.
I think that's so awesome.
Between them and Lance, because like we had Nehemiah the other day, Lance and Sheridan. I mean, we had like 2 rows, almost
Absolutely,
3
y'all do,
rows.
yeah.
And it was just our barn crew or our kids or whoever they brought. So, I mean,
We just, all in all, we feel extremely blessed. And Jenny and I really, really want to give back
And
to
share that.
pay it forward.
share back.
That's what's so awesome about y'all is y'all are so sharing with what you have.
Yeah, well, it wasn't easy to get there. And you, like she said, just don't forget where you come from. You know, you just treat others how you want to be treated. How would you talk to that employee? How would you want to be talked to if you're that employee? And how would you like to be taught to? Don't cuss it, don't yell, don't, you know what I mean? And so I think it's just what we go by in our house and everything.
Do.
Yeah.
What we do.
I love that.
What
Well,
we do.
guys, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
And I know that so many people are going to be touched and reached from this. Because there's so many people that are in these spots,
Yeah.
you know, that maybe they are having trouble at home and maybe they don't get that their wives having to do all this.
And don't you think that when everybody's going through that, they always think it's only you?
Only them. It's
only you.
everybody. We all struggle.
Yeah. And so it's not.
And it's cool to hear y'all struggle because now we, looking from the outside in, man, I'd like to have what that Michael Cooper had. Well,
Yeah. And all I can say is, young trainers, it's not only you. You haven't only felt that way. It's all of us. We've all felt that way, and we've all experienced exactly the same thing you're feeling today, whether that being scared or disappointed or depressed or happy or whatever the circumstance is. We've felt everything that you're feeling today. So it's not only you.
Go ask for help,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially in today's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank
Pretty
y'all
awesome.
so much.
Thank you.